Oh, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. You had better get 'em up, get 'em going Thursday on B&E. That is your day here on the Show of the People. Who has earned a pat on the back? Who has earned a kick in the rear? You decide on a Buck Off Thursday each and every week. Buck Ons as well. Speaking of the wake up those teachers, final couple days of the school year. Some will be done today, some tomorrow, as we wrap it up into the Memorial Day weekend and off into the official start of the summer. Good luck for that for all the teachers, educators, and students out there who are wrapping up another year on the calendar. We'll get you there for sure with the Buck-Ons and Buck-Offs and Wild Day in sports. You just never know. In sports, lower seeds beating higher seeds. Big upsets in hockey, and we'll dive into the NBA as well. One thing you do know, Mr. Godbolt, the New England Patriots are going to cheat and break the rules. You just know that. That is a given in sports. We'll get you details out of the National Football League as we start your Thursday morning Buck-Ons and Buck-Offs all morning. Only 3 hours, 45 minutes, though, of our show today. Actually, 2 hours, 45 minutes, because we're going to be done for Texas baseball in the losers bracket of the Big 12 tournament at 8:45 this morning. But still plenty of time to get your Buck On and Buck Off as we launch your Thursday morning here on B&E. We appreciate you being there. However you're finding us, could be on 104.9 on the FM dial, 101.9 FM. Always there for you on AM 1260. And, of course, digitally on your Horn app, on your smart speaker, and always Mr. Godbolt at hornfm.com.
Good morning to the soldiers at Fort Cavazos, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you to your families, too, for sharing you with all of us. We do appreciate it, and please be careful out there.
End of May now, 25 May, and a lot to dive into. The passing of Tina Turner yesterday, Buck, the queen of rock and roll.
I did see her in concert, and what a concert it was.
Did you really?
I did.
I did not.
I was at Boston College. What an incredible amount of energy.
Oh, my gosh.
Packed into quite the woman.
Quite the
legs.
Woman. The legs, the voice, the dancing. You know, we'll hear it coming up later, but she takes credit for teaching Mick Jagger how to dance, how to shake it on stage.
They do have a similar kind of shake.
Oh, yeah, he copied her. She claims to have taught him how to shake.
I think her legs are taller than Mick Jagger.
Oh, yeah, she's taller than Mick Jagger. But, man, what a career. And the queen of rock and roll, as she has been dubbed, passed away yesterday at the age of 83. Health issues in recent years, including battle with cancer and a stroke and kidney failure. But what a performer.
She was performing into her 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Early 80s. She was still performing crazy.
She was some kind of talent. And obviously, really, her career, she became like a global sensation in her 40s into her 50s, really. But Tina Turner passed away yesterday. That was sad to see as we crank this thing up. Let's get to the sports headlines of your Thursday morning. Get you caught up as you are up and out, maybe on getaway day for you. A lot of folks will be off tomorrow and headed to enjoy an extended weekend with the Memorial Day holiday. But let's fire it up with the news of the morning. UBO Business Services brings it to you. We'll start up in Arlington, day one of the Big 12 baseball tournament. Not a good one for the Texas Longhorns. They're going to have to play through the losers bracket after dropping their opening game yesterday to the 8th-seeded Kansas Jayhawks 6-3. Game really flipped in the 7th inning. Game tied at 2 in that frame. Texas head coach David Pierce elected to walk the Jayhawks' best hitter, Cody Shinoga, who had already had a couple of hits on the day. He had a base open, so loaded the bases with 2 outs for their cleanup hitter, Jansen Reeder, who was 0 for 3 on the day. But Reeder jumped on a full-count slider from Texas right-hander Travis Staley. Low slider and drilled it into the right center field seats for a grand slam. That gave the Jayhawks a lead they would not relinquish. Longhorns will now face Kansas State in an elimination game this morning at 9 a.m. at Globe Life. The Wildcats were pummeled in their opener by TCU yesterday morning, 16-3. As we said, that'll be an 8:45 pregame right here on the Horn, 9 o'clock. The first pitch with Craig Way and Roger Wallace. Other finals in Arlington yesterday were also upset. 7th-seeded Oklahoma toppled 2-seeded Oklahoma State 9-5, and 6th-seed Texas Tech put the 3rd-seed West Virginia into the losers bracket with a 6-2 win. Major League Baseball yesterday and last night, Rangers took the rubber game of their 3-game series in Pittsburgh. 3-run first inning was the difference in a 3-2 win over the Pirates. It's their 30th win already this season for the Rangers. Milwaukee beat the Astros again 4-0. Astros shut out in back-to-back games now after scoring 12 in the first game of that series. Both Houston and Texas will enjoy a day off today. Round Rock, a 10-6 loser in Albuquerque. Not a good night at Q2 Stadium last night for Austin FC. They bowed out of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup with a 2-0 loss to the Chicago Fire. Fire scored a goal in each half, while a sloppy and fatigued Austin side managed to just put 2 of their 9 shots on goal. Last night was Verde's 6th match in 19 days. They're going to play their 7th match in a 22-day stretch on Saturday night down in Houston. NBA took the night off with the Western Conference champion Nuggets waiting on an opponent in the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat could fill that spot with a win tonight in Boston. It's Game 5 of the Eastern semis this evening. Miami up 3-1 in that series. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk scored a power play goal in the closing seconds of the third period to push the 8th-seeded Florida Panthers into their first Stanley Cup final in 27 years. A 4th straight one-goal win over the Carolina Hurricane, 4-3 the final last night. Incredible. From down 3-1 in the first round of mighty Boston to the Stanley Cup finals, the Florida Panthers have secured their spot. Yeah, that's where we say in sports, you just never know. The Longhorns going in with all the momentum against the Kansas Jayhawks, and that's how baseball go, they say. And Lucas Gordon wasn't as sharp as we've seen him, and Kansas put their best pitcher on the mound, and guy hits a grand slam in the 7th inning and flips the game. Longhorns now have to play out of the loser's bracket. We'll talk about the ramifications. Yeah, man, 9 o'clock this morning they'll play breakfast and baseball. And K-State played in that same time slot yesterday at 9 in the morning, got pummeled by TCU. They're a little bit more on clock with that, so the Longhorns will have to battle the Wildcats today, the Purple Kryptonite, as they've been dubbed in ties. Also, you never know. How about the Florida Panthers in hockey? Remember, go back to the first round. They were playing Boston, right? Boston had the historic regular season. More points, more wins than any team in the history of the NHL. And they're playing the 8th-seeded Florida Panthers. They're up 3-1 in the series. I mean, big picture in hockey, the Boston Bruins pulled off one of the greatest choke jobs of all time. To have that kind of regular season, be up 3-1 in a series, and then to be up in the third period of the closeout game and then lose, or get to Game 7 and you end up losing a game that they were leading, but Florida comes all the way back, wins that series over mighty Boston, and now here they are with 4 one-goal wins over Carolina, and the 8th-seeded Florida Panthers are headed to the Stanley Cup Finals. In that same city, the 8th-seeded Miami Heat can play their way into the NBA Finals with a win tonight.
That's why getting close doesn't mean anything. It's all about winning at this time.
Yeah. That's why they play the game.
Yeah,
that's why they play the game. 8th seed, 1 seed, doesn't matter. Somebody texted us and said, "Damn, everybody lost yesterday." Yeah, outside of the Texas Rangers, wasn't a lot of winning going on yesterday. Longhorns got beat, and for the Big 12, it was a rough day. The Longhorns went into that game ranked 20th in the RPI, and they're trying to hope to secure a regional, an NCAA regional, and coming off the sweep of West Virginia last weekend and being the number 1 seed at the Big 12 tournament, there was a lot of momentum for that. This loss yesterday dropped Texas down to 26.
Yeah, because this is where they're all looking at you now.
We'll see. That's going to be a question, right? We talk about it in the NCAA basketball tournaments. How much does the committee weigh conference tournaments? You can certainly play your way into the tournament with an automatic bid if you win the tournament. But a lot of folks believe that the regular season counts for more, and we'll see. It doesn't mean it's over, but yeah, that hurt yesterday to go from 20 down to
lose
26.
To the same team twice.
Kansas beat them. Texas took 2 out of 3 from Kansas 3 weeks ago, but they did lose the first game of that series in Lawrence. Lucas Gordon, Big 12's pitcher of the year, doesn't lose much, but he's lost. Texas lost both of his starts against Kansas this year. But the Longhorns did bounce back from that loss in Lawrence on a Friday night 3 weeks ago to win the series. So, again, not all is lost. You play K-State today. Longhorns have enough pitching depth to at least win a couple games still here in Arlington. If they could win today, they'd have to then come back and play Friday afternoon and try to get into Saturday. But, that was not a good loss yesterday for the Longhorns. But, that's baseball. The Kansas Jayhawks know their season is over when this tournament is over for them. They put their Friday night starter on the mound, and he pitched better than Lucas Gordon did. But, again, it was 2-2 in the 7th. Right there for you. You tied the ball game at 2. Dylan Campbell had a big RBI single to knot the game up, and the Horns have their chance. But Travis Staley, not a terrible pitch. It was kind of a low 3-2 slider that kind of broke back across too much of the plate, and a good left-handed hitter, kind of golfed it out.
Who'd already had a good day.
Yeah, well, no, he was 0 for 3 on the day.
Was he the guy? Who was the guy? Oh, the dude that got on before that.
Yeah, they intentionally walked the freshman.
Who had
a couple of hits.
3, yeah.
He was 2 for 2 they're 2 for 3 on the day, and David Pierce elected with a base open to go ahead and put him on base. And the one, if you want to criticize Coach Pierce, they maybe could have gone lefty on lefty there. With Travis Staley, the right-hander, could have gone getting Ace Whitehead or a lefty out of the pen to face him either way, they trusted Travis Staley, and he gives up the grand slam, and it's a 2-2 game late, turns into a 6-2 game, and the Longhorns couldn't overcome that, and they're into the losers bracket. K-State, the opponent today, but as we said, all the outside of TCU, the higher seeds or the lower seeds lost yesterday, and that's not good for the Big 12. I mean, West Virginia is now, with Texas sweeping them and dominating them this past weekend, and now their loss yesterday, their hold on a regional host is not secure. Texas is in limbo.
They're going to try to get to the SEC, like 4 of them?
Well, I have a hard time believing the Big 12 is not going to get a single host. Not one. Oklahoma State, I guess, could push for it. Whoever, if Oklahoma State lost yesterday. I mean, the teams that are at least in the conversation with the NCAA regionals all lost in their first game of this tournament. That would be Texas, Oak State, and West Virginia. They all took a share of the Big 12 regular season, and they all lost yesterday. So, I mean, it's also hard to believe that there would be an entire state of Texas not hosting a regional, right? I mean, that would be
Dallas Baptist.
Yeah, Dallas Baptist, I guess, could still sneak in there and get it. And Texas still could, too. If Texas were to win today, win another game tomorrow.
Yeah, get 2 games.
Get to 40 wins, not even win this tournament, but put a couple wins back on the board. And you know how the NCAA is. And Texas can money whip some people. They'd
Absolutely.
love to have that regional right in the middle of Texas and bring the Aggies in here, bring Dallas Baptist and whoever else. But you got to earn your way. And the Longhorns looked like they were well on their way to earning it this past weekend. Yesterday was a smack of reality that you just never know.
Do you know what channel TV-wise the game will be on? Is it
ESPN Plus?
Okay.
ESPN Plus is the ball game today. The championship, I think Friday and then into the weekend will be on ESPN, one of the ESPN main channels. But ESPN Plus today for that game.
I've said it before, but ESPN Plus, if you like college sports,
it's the best investment.
Great investment. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of college baseball will be on ESPN Plus the next few days.
Well, you might as well just go ahead and get that if you're a Longhorn fan, because as the Longhorns move into the Southeastern Conference, you're going to need that more and more.
All of those games.
It's only like $5 a month too. Doesn't break the bank.
Doesn't $5 a month.
Yep.
Well, expect that to rise. Just in time.
And with you without the nicotine, that's easy for you now.
I'm weaning myself off.
Well, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like there was a step backwards there.
There was a step backwards.
I was thinking so. The minute you said that.
I was on the drive home yesterday. I started to feel legitimately sick, and I broke down pretty fast.
Ty is trying to wean himself off of vaping and the nicotine addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
one of my many addictions.
One of my many addictions.
Well, that's the one that can really hurt you.
Yeah.
Really physically hurt you, yeah. That's a good try. Just start all over again. What's the difference?
I'm trying. I got to wean myself off. I don't think the cold turkey is going to work for me. I think I'll feel like I have the flu all weekend if I try that right now.
No, you don't want to be sick.
I got a big weekend ahead of me.
Big baby. Big baby.
Big weekend. What do you got this weekend?
Got a wedding on Sunday.
You're going to be in a corner somewhere with a nicotine patch there.
Probably. And then I figured out we have work off Monday for Memorial Day. So I'll probably lean into that and
get some weenies.
Have a nice day. Yeah, spend a lot of time outside.
Grill some things, cook some things, all that kind of stuff.
I got some sausage ready.
Yeah, I got some sausage.
I'm doing a little sausage. I'm terrible. That's what I almost put the grill, everything on fire when I do the sausage.
Because greasy.
I'm not good with that part.
Be careful. Texas falls to Kansas, 6-3 final. Somebody said, why does Pierce keep throwing Travis Staley? He seems to be the weakest link of the pitching staff. Travis pitched pretty well yesterday. I thought, he's had some control issues. He came in for Lucas Gordon in the sixth inning and pitched really well. And he wasn't pitching badly. But again, a leadoff single and then a walk, put the runners on, which led to the grand slam. And then the intentional walk of a managerial decision. And then he gave up the home run. I mean, that's just, it's baseball. It wasn't a terrible pitch. I mean, it was a slider that came back over wasn't like he left it hanging. It was a low pitch for a left-handed batter. But it kind of slid back across took too much of the plate. He was trying to bring it back through the back door, get the outside corner, and just got too much of the plate, and he drilled it. The kid didn't miss it. And I don't think it's a bad move to walk their best hitter, who's batting almost 400, to face a batter that 270 had been 0 for 3 on the day, and you had already handled, and to put a runner on every base with 2 outs to try to create a force and all those strategic things. But again, that's baseball. Kid put a good swing on it. Wasn't a terrible pitch, but it wasn't his best pitch, and that's your ball game. Longhorns need to come back today and find some wins. And K-State's a team you can beat. They've got serious pitching issues. They gave up 16 runs yesterday to TCU. You just got to find that find that focus, and find that mojo you had against West Virginia. Clear that the Longhorns do not play well at Globe Life Field. For whatever reason, the Longhorns do not play great in Arlington. Remember, they got swept to start the year up there in that SEC Big 12 matchup. Those 3 games, they got swept a couple years ago when they played in that tournament as well.
Yeah, well, if they had a decent crowd yesterday, the crowd this morning will be kind of...
No, it was sparse.
Oh, it was?
Sparse yesterday. I mean, it's a 30, 40,000 seat stadium, so if you have a few thousand in there, it's going to be quiet.
Well, they'll have a few thousand less at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be find your own momentum, find your own energy. But look, these guys grow up playing those kind of games. You play tournaments and select ball.
Or just mom and dad
school.
there.
Yeah, your parents are there. It's just you. That's how baseball is, and most sports are growing up. Go find a way. And, this one, again, Texas drops from 20 down to 26 in the RPI. Does that negate their chances? And, but if they go win a couple of ball games, get back in the mix, they're still in the conversation as the
well, it doesn't matter. You want to be on a winning note as you get ready to go play, no matter where you sit.
You're right about that. And give Kansas a little bit of credit. I mean, their best pitcher pitched well. Their best, the middle of their lineup produced. Their 3, 4, 5 hitters had nice days. And their guy at the top, Kazuski, was getting on base to set the table. Their center fielder, he made an incredible catch in the outfield to, stem a Longhorn rally as well. And, they were, that's what is it? That's how baseball go. And, sometimes you get run into a team that has a good day, and that's why it's a double elimination tournament.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't put a lefty versus a lefty.
Yeah, Coach Pierce, I'm sure, went to bed last night thinking, man, I wonder if I should have gone and gotten a lefty, Ace Whitehead or somebody to face the lefty. We walked him to load the bases. But again, Staley didn't leave the game. He finished the ball game. He pitched the 8th and 9th innings, and he pitched well. It was just really about one pitch that changed the ball game in the 7th inning. You get that out, it's 2-2, and who knows? But again, that's baseball. Longhorns play again today at 9 o'clock. Buck on to Ty's Rangers. They're to 30 wins already, Ty, in 42 games, 48 games, 30 and 18 after the win yesterday. Martin Perez with a great start. They're in first place in the AL West. And buck on to the Florida Panthers. They're into the Stanley Cup Finals. Buck off to your Texas Stars, Ty. That was ridiculous the other night.
Dallas Stars?
Or Dallas Stars. Texas Stars already out. But the Dallas Stars. And now Jamie Benn not only gets the 5-minute major that really set the tone and led to the loss in Game 3, he's now suspended for 2 games.
What?
That's a little much, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday. When I heard that yesterday, I'm like, dude, okay.
Suspend the captain?
The captain essentially suspended himself.
Yeah, he did. But, it was stupid, but.
Did you see his press conference? Where he basically said that, he was like, I'm sorry for falling. I shouldn't have braced my fall with my stick. And
No, come on, no. He braced his face with his stick.
Cross-checked him. Right in his
But I don't know if that's I think we've seen way worse than that. I mean, that's a 2-gamer. I mean, he didn't rear back. He just fell down with
the player
the stick. I mean,
he pushed him up against the wall, and then the player fell down, and then he jumped on top of him and cross-checked him with his stick. Stick work is always going to be punished at a higher level in the game of hockey.
He was just bracing himself. Come on.
Yeah, because he was
with
falling.
His jaw.
Because he was falling. Sorry, your jaw was in the middle of
my
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, now they're facing a sweep, and their captain's out for 2 games. I mean, that is a huge buck off for that. I mean, you just got to keep your head on that.
Yeah, that same dude shook it off and kept on playing. I mean, it wasn't like he's going to miss anything.
Well, I'll give Vegas a lot of credit. That's a buck on. I mean, that team could have got fired up about that and retaliated and lost their cool, and they did not. They just stayed the course and won that hockey game 4-0.
They retaliated by whooping their ass.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
But a lot of times you'll see retaliation, then they get a guy suspended or they get a guy in trouble and kicked out of the game.
Just a bunch of brawls. And plus, it's playoff time. I mean, you as the captain, you don't do that in the playoffs. But also, generally, you don't get a 2-game suspension for that.
I mean,
that's much right there.
If you kick him out of the game, fine.
Yeah.
If the guy was hurt and he was out,
now you give him a game.
Or a game.
2 games?
If there's no injury, I don't think 2 games.
I mean, I thought yesterday when I heard 2 games, I was thinking, that guy broke his jaw, that he was going to be done.
I mean, that's a dangerous thing. You got a guy on the ground, not unprotected, and you drop on top of him with your stick, and he's a 230-pound guy.
There was some force behind it.
Oh, yeah.
He just fell on it. That's why I asked yesterday, because initially the first time I saw it, I thought it was just gloves, and then the second shot I saw that stick crossed.
Yeah, it was really
over
for
his
both.
face.
Both of them were penalties, and then he got the 5-minute major and kicked out of the game. But the NHL said it's important to note that Ben is in control of his play at all times.
Absolutely.
Makes the decision to deliver a forceful cross-check to a prone player. This is simply an unnecessary decision by Ben. It's delivered with sufficient intent and force to merit supplemental discipline. Out 2 games. Buck off to Jamie Benn. Buck on to the Florida Panthers. How about the city of Miami? Florida Panthers, Miami Heat. Both could be in their respective finals, which would be pretty cool with Jimmy Butler and the Heat.
And the Dolphins in the Super Bowl coming up?
Maybe. Tua taking those judo classes, trying to get himself at the fall camp.
Yeah. I don't know.
Handle the falls. And as I started the show a little bit and saying that you just never know in sports because you just don't. Longhorns were the favorite yesterday. We know that, Florida's come out of nowhere to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Heat are about to do the same thing. But you do know that the New England Patriots are going to cheat and break the rules, right? You just know it. It's like death and taxes. How about this? The Patriots have lost 2 organized team activities, OTAs, for a rules violation. Unknown rules violation, but they did something. And now the Patriots will lose 2 of their sessions of OTAs, organized team activities. And Bill Belichick tried to play it off like, oh, no, we're just not having them. We don't need them. We're just blowing them off.
We don't want them anywhere.
Yeah. They were scheduled to have OTAs on Thursday. Team announced earlier on Wednesday that the session had been canceled. But instead, turns out from the NFL that they have been stripped of those OTAs.
Come on.
The league stripping those 2 workouts from New England, not immediately disclosed. But you just, you never know. They're always trying
Brady's
to catch.
bunch at it again.
Brady doesn't play there anymore.
Come on, he's still got
Belichick.
He's got those mugs.
Robert Kraft in the massage parlor. What the hell's going on over here? What are we doing?
He's got his guys.
Not a huge deal, but they always seem to be skirting the line. You know what I'm saying? Third phase of their offseason program allows up to 10 organized team activity days.
If you're not cheating, you ain't trying.
I was
right?
about to say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Deflategate, Spygate, whatever gate this was. Robert Kraft with the massage parlor gate.
Just going in to loosen up before the Super Bowl.
It's a long season.
How could Robert Kraft have known that particular massage parlor in Florida was under surveillance for, smuggling, human smuggling?
Oh,
maybe the fact that it
How
was
could he have known that?
Like a strip mall shopping center
Yeah.
in the middle of Florida.
And you're a billionaire?
Yeah.
That's not
The-
sketchy.
Like he didn't get it on the list of all of his other buddies.
How could the owner have
Here's
known?
the place you need to go.
When instead of
His other 31 buddies. Here's the spot. Don't go there. You're in Florida. We got the spot
This is
for you.
Tiger spot.
Well, it is Florida, so they're all strips, all strip centers there essentially. Yeah, but there's a real ritzy landing strip right there in Palm Beach.
There is.
Yeah, that airport where all the rich folks land their rich planes, not far from there. But how could he have known the FBI had it under surveillance? I mean, how could he have possibly known that?
He should have got the word on that.
Somebody should have tipped him off.
Of course.
That there was some human trafficking going on potentially.
So they
through
were
that
just
place.
there for that.
Yes.
And Robert Kraft walked in and like, oh,
yeah,
that's Bob Kraft.
Yeah. Didn't get that call from Jerry. Nobody told him, say, hey, this is the day. Don't
That's
go
how we
today.
got caught up in it.
Yeah, don't go today.
By the way, it was on the morning or the day of the AFC Championship game.
Not that human trafficking is funny, but
No.
the fact,
No,
that,
that's
the
not
fact
funny.
that Robert Kraft walked in is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's how
I'd like to just be a fly on the wall in that surveillance van or wherever they were watching that video.
Is that Robert Kraft that just went in there? Old man Kraft just walked in. This is nice.
They have won a bunch of Super Bowls.
He's got a
too.
game today.
If memory serves, that it was that Sunday that he was flying to Kansas City to be at the AFC Championship
Just took a
game
pit stop.
that they won. That was the overtime game when Tom Brady took them back to another Super Bowl, if memory serves. But yeah, that's a buck off Thursday. The New England Patriots. We'll get into the other buck ons and buck offs of the morning. The Craig Way report coming up, and yeah, we will be done at 8:45 this morning. Remember, as we hand it off to Craig and the crew for Texas baseball, breakfast and baseball this morning here on the Horn, Longhorns and Wildcats. We're just getting warmed up. Coming right back. The unofficial start of summer, folks, coming up this weekend. It's your extra day off. Of course, remember what Memorial Day is all about when you get to your Monday, but enjoy your time and enjoy your summer. I want to remind you the B&E Show every morning, presented by the Icy Cold Bud Lights and our great friends at Brown Distributing. Bud Light is the world's favorite light beer, has been for more than 40 years. Also the official domestic beer partner of your Texas Longhorns, the Texas X's, and the Texas OU game coming up in October. And this season, Bud Light, the fuel for the Longhorns on their all-gas, no excuses run to a potential Big 12 championship in their final year in the Big 12. And for 60 years, the Brown family and Brown Distributing, also tremendous partners with Texas and Texas athletics, an amazing supporter and contributor to not just the Longhorns, but to all of Austin and Central Texas. Brown Distributing donates close to $1 million annually to various nonprofit and civic and educational organizations. They sponsor over 500 charitable events throughout the calendar, including Bucky's Mullet Open. And we all want you to remember, when you're enjoying some ice-cold Bud Lights and having a good time this weekend or any weekend, make sure you get home safely. Getting home is always the priority, and being safe on the roads. Encourage others to decide to ride, whether it's being the designated driver, calling Uber, taking public transit. You can't drive drunk if you don't drive there. And enjoy your Memorial Day weekend and get home safely. Brought to you by our great friends at Brown Distributing and the Horn. Yeah, Tina Turner passed away yesterday at her home in Switzerland after what her reps called a long illness. 83 years old. Tina sold 200 million albums, won 8 Grammys.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer as a solo artist and with Ike Turner, I believe.
And rose to fame in the 60s when you were growing up as part of Ike and Tina, the Ike and Tina Review. Of course, he beat the heck out of her.
Yep.
And then he convinced her that she couldn't do anything without him.
Yeah, she later.
Then she finally realized, wait a second, I'm the talent in this group. And went off and became a global superstar. She also starred in the movie Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, if you remember that.
Yeah, and she did the theme song
that's
to
what
it.
That's from.
That's what that's from.
That's
yeah.
right.
What would be her biggest song? What's Love Got to Do with It?
Yeah, that was a big one. Private Dancer.
Now,
her
Love Got to Do with
Private
It was
Dancer.
from the movie, right? That she did about her life, I believe.
Yeah, What's Love Got to Do with It? I mean,
it was the title,
and that was in her
movie.
40s by then. By the time she started to, become just a huge pop star, rivaling the biggest stars in the world at the time in the 80s. And she was great. MTV was great for her because to see her looks and her legs and ability to dance and to put that on video to go with those songs. Created something huge. Let's hear. I mentioned this earlier that Tina Turner takes credit for teaching Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones how to dance. Here's her on, I think it was on one of those late night talk shows, talking about her experience with Mick. Yes, Mick Jagger. And if you watch Mick Jagger on stage, it looks a lot like Tina Turner. A lot like Tina Turner, the way he moves. And he can still shake it, by the way. I saw Mick Jagger recently in concert, and he still shakes it. And he's in his 80s now.
That's what I was thinking. He's in his 80s also.
And he's still skinny. Skinny. You'll be amazed when you see Mick Jagger how little he is. Little, but can still move. But Tina always could. The queen of rock and roll, living in Switzerland on her remaining days. Not too shabby for sure, but a great life.
She did a couple of songs with Bryan Adams.
Yeah, the Canadian crooner. She made a lot of collaborations and a ton of music. But, Tina Turner passed away yesterday. That's part of our Thursday morning buck on to her. Other buck ons and buck offs. I got to say buck off to this guy, Bill Connolly at ESPN. And I typically like Bill Connolly at ESPN. He does the statistical breakdown of college football, does a great job. But he was the one that came out with that quarterback list that came out this week, the top 25 quarterbacks of the 2000s, since 2000 to now, 23 years of college football. And he was the one that decided that Baker Mayfield was the best of the bunch in the last 23 seasons. Baker Mayfield. I disagree, Bill. It's Tim Tebow, then maybe Cam Newton and Vince Young. I don't have a problem with Baker Mayfield being in your top 5. But he can't be number 1. He didn't win a national championship.
Joe Burrow's above Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow's season leading LSU to a national championship greater than any yards thrown for, touchdown passes Baker Mayfield threw in Lincoln Riley's offense. Vince Young's taking Texas to their first national championship and back-to-back Rose Bowls. As a junior to the national championship, he and Joe Burrow's singular seasons, along with Cam Newton, were incredible. And Tim Tebow's overall resume at Florida is greater than Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Matt Leinert's down at how far down does he have Matt Leinart?
Did Baker Mayfield even win a bowl game?
He won a bowl game.
Did he? Because they played in the college football playoffs, got whooped by Georgia.
Well, they get whooped. They had a lead, and their defense couldn't hold it. They were looking to beat Georgia out there at the Rose Bowl that game, and this is where Lincoln Riley's inability to coach up a defense and have a defense that can play to a championship level has always been the problem. But I also think Baker Mayfield gets caught up in that system too, right? Lincoln Riley, every quarterback he has puts up huge numbers.
Kyler Murray.
I'd argue that Kyler Murray was a better college quarterback than Baker Mayfield.
Caleb Williams. Well, he's still got time to go, but and have Matt Leinart way down at 17. Really? I mean, Matt Leinart, when they went back to back. And if not for Vince Young going, for the pylon on fourth down, they would have won 3 national championships.
And he has a Heisman.
He sure does. And Reggie Bush has one, too, from that great USC team that the Longhorns took down.
He was just trying to piss people off with that list, and it worked.
Well,
Worked very well.
I'm going to buck him off.
Give him a buck offie for that.
Look, and I like Bill Conley. I think he does a really good job at ESPN. And I always follow him on Twitter and read his columns and things. But, I mean, yes, that's insightful. You can't have a guy at number 1 who didn't win a national championship, can you? I mean, I think that would be the first criteria. Championship. Let's start there.
Second would be a Heisman Trophy.
Deshaun Watson, this texter says, I agree with that. Deshaun Watson should be higher than Baker Mayfield. National champion.
That's despite his massage peccadillos.
Well, we don't know if he was doing that in college.
Well, I know that Dabo Swinney called him Michael Jordan on a football field. Michael Jordan in cleats. And he was quite incredible. He was the first one ever to dethrone mighty Alabama when Clemson was able to take them down. Deshaun Watson, for sure. And maybe even Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a hell of a career at Clemson as well. But, I would also say this in a buck-off vein is that you could argue Colt McCoy should be higher than 12, but Colt got hurt. If Colt doesn't get hurt in that national championship game.
Here we go.
Well, think about my man Colt, right? Who's still playing.
Here we go.
Who's still playing. My man Colt, the most accurate passer in college football history at the time.
And no way they would have lost that game. No way.
140. Well, there's no way, but I think they would have won it. They won 45 games as a starting quarterback at Texas.
He won the most, at the time, was the most wins ever, right?
Most wins ever. And, got snake bit, right? I mean, in 2008, the Crabtree catch and the Blake Gideon, Texas Tech game, we all know that derailed Texas from potentially playing in for a national championship. Because and the way the Big 12's tiebreaker system worked at the time, Art Briles' final coaches poll vote, and the Longhorns don't end up playing Florida and Tim Tebow and going to the Big 12 championship game, or Big 12 champions, it goes to Oklahoma. They go play Tim Tebow, and Tim Tebow wins that national championship. So Colt, with probably his best team, that 2008 team was Colt's best at Texas, and they had a chance to play for a national championship and didn't get there by circumstance. And then, 2009, they get there with a team. I don't think the 2009 team was as good as 2008. The offensive line had more issues, and Ndamukong Suh almost single-handedly beat them with that Nebraska team. But they did get to the national championship game to face Alabama in Nick Saban's early stages, and
something happened.
Well, you got 5 turnovers from Gary Gilbert in that game.
That's right. And
they still
got hurt.
Well, they lose by – it was a one-score game.
One-score game in the fourth quarter. And, yes, here's what I do know. Colt McCoy wouldn't have turned the ball over 4 times like Gary Gilbert did.
Was it
not
4
more?
Was it 4 times? Yeah,
I think it was 4.
A fumble and 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and, of course, the shovel pass.
Yeah, that was
the end of the half.
Great
that was a
call.
Backbreaker.
The end of the half, could never come back from that. I don't think those things happen. I can't tell you what would have happened had Colt stayed in that game, but I think they would have won.
They would have scored on that drive. They were driving.
They were. But yes, so Colt McCoy could have an argument for be higher, but man, what he had a little bit of hard luck, but was a winning damn quarterback at Texas without a doubt.
Oh, Sam Bradford was a winning quarterback, didn't he? Was he the one that did win the national championship?
No, Josh Heupel.
Was Heupel?
Heupel won the national championship for Bob Stoops.
It's been a while for Oklahoma.
Sam just won the lottery of the last of the quarterbacks to get that big bonus, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he and Matt Stafford were 2 of the last quarterbacks to get into the NFL with the
for the quarterback.
The name your price.
Yeah, the name
era.
your yeah.
Before they put that's when they put the rookie cap in, right? So now it's slotted, and yeah, Sam Bradford, Matt Stafford, Sam Bradford, they broke the bank.
Yeah, they did.
And as
I
salaries,
think Bradford was close to $50 million or some really ridiculous number for a quarterback.
Well, because draft picks at the time, Ty, were coming in and making more than like the best player on the team.
But why? I understand. Like, why would the Players Association agree to that? Because aren't the players still getting more money, or was it because it was taking away from veterans?
Right. That was the
killing
idea.
The vets.
Well, the veterans. I mean, the players voted for it because, as I just said, I mean, the guy 10-year pros. This kid who's never played it down was getting a bigger contract than them. It was like, wait a second, what are we doing here? Let's have this a merit-based system. Now, the players still share 50% of all revenue. It's a 50-50 split, owners to players. But it's just how the money is divided up within the roster. And we now know that to have a player outperforming his rookie contract is one of the best values in all of football and really all of sports. I heard Rod and Harge yesterday talking about overvalued, undervalued players. all of the list is rookies. Like Micah Parsons is underpaid for his performance playing for the Dallas Cowboys, but he's under contract.
Three of the 4 quarterbacks in the conference championship games this year were on rookie deals, everyone besides Patrick Mahomes.
Which is why drafting and hitting those draft picks becomes huge, because that's your cheap labor. Those are guys that they're outperforming what you're paying them. And it's also why it's dangerous to play in the free agent market, because typically you're going to overpay for free agents on the market, and they're going to not perform to the level of that contract in most occasions. There are some that do, but not many. So if you can draft a guy, you got team control for 5 years on that player. They don't have to pay Micah Parsons for 2 more years.
That's one of the things Jerry Jones understands and does a good job of
Agreed.
Not overspending in free agency and trusting the process of drafting well.
Somebody said, where's Peyton and Eli Manning? Eli Manning is on the list, but Peyton Manning was before 2000.
Yep.
Peyton Manning was into the NFL by then. And 1998 was that draft for Peyton, and into the National Football League. But, terrible list. Come on, Bill Conley, let's do better.
Yeah, Jerry hasn't brought up the 18-wheeler until Micah Parsons. It's been a while since he had to bring the 18-wheeler up. Well, that's not true. I mean, he brought the 18-wheeler up.
To Marcus Lawrence.
And Dak Prescott.
Yeah, but
right?
you had it. That's the thing with the quarter. That's another thing with quarterbacks. When it gets to that point, we saw with Daniel Jones this offseason. Teams are forced to pay these guys because it's like, what else you got? You could be in quarterback purgatory for 10 years if you don't re-sign the guy that's average.
Yeah, well, but you also are kind of in that purgatory if you do sign a quarterback that doesn't live up to that contract.
That's true.
It's a huge
double-edged sword.
And as we've talked about, I mean, at the end of the day, if it's Patrick Mahomes' league until someone beats him. That's when people talk about, because we get into these debates about who's worth their quarterback money. Well, Patrick Mahomes is the one that's going to all the Super Bowls. Before Patrick, it was Tom Brady, who was going to all the Super Bowls every year. Right now, it's Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is 2 overtime championship game losses from being in 5 straight Super Bowls. They've won 3 of them since when they're 2 of the 3 that they've gotten to. And Patrick Mahomes and his team will be the favorites again this year. But
and you're right, Ty, because that's why Philadelphia decided to pay their guy. They understand. They just were in one. They're still on cheap labor.
Well,
but they don't want to mess around.
Yeah, it would be so stupid if they're like, oh no, Jalen, you can walk because we'll find another guy, a rookie for 5 years that can do exactly what you're doing.
I think Jalen Hurts showed enough last year, and even when he beat out Carson Wentz in his early stages, the leadership abilities and how that team plays around him, that he's on his way to living up to that contract.
When's the last time we saw a quarterback that's finishing out their rookie deal sign with another team that did not re-sign with the team that drafted
Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins was the one,
and he got franchise tag
twice or 3 times.
I can't think of another guy that.
Yeah, if you have one, but again, I mean, Jalen Hurts has a chance to be a star. This is when you double it back to the Cowboys conversation. Dak Prescott's making that elite money in the biggest of the games in January. He hasn't played elite, and they need him to play better in January. That's
he's very
point
similar
of fact.
to me to Lamar Jackson when you really need him.
Yeah,
I mean, Lamar is just not. Dak is. He's there.
Dak is elite in September.
He's there during the playoffs, but he doesn't perform. But Lamar, it's like you just paid him as the highest player in the NFL. Is he going to be there?
That's right. I mean, you got to. That's what you're
crossing your fingers.
That's what you're paying that player for, right? Their quarterback has to be good to get you to the tournament. Then in the tournament, Joe Burrow has shown the ability to elevate.
But as you say, only one guy since Tom Brady has shown you how to win that deal.
Patrick Mahomes. Well, look, I'll give this to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts in that Super Bowl, he may have played the best game a quarterback's ever played in a loss in that game. I mean, he was unbelievable. It wasn't like Jalen Hurts was the reason they lost that football game.
No.
So Jalen Hurts, I think, has earned the big money. Dak Prescott has not yet been able to get his team over the hump. And let's also say this for Dak. Since his leg went sideways, his ankle broke, he's been a different quarterback. Let's be fair about that. I mean, the interceptions are up. His ability to run is down. It just, that injury was big, and he just hasn't been as consistent and reliable as you say, Ty.
But Ty, we need him this year because we got the running game. He's got to be a part of that running game.
Pound the rock.
Pound that rock.
Are you including Dak in that too, though?
No.
Or you still don't want him running?
Well, I think they say they would like him to run.
I'd like to figure out a QB sneak if we can. Jalen
Hurts.
That's why you're starting. No, that's Zeke. That's your guy. That you're going to pay
under center.
Yeah, $1 million for the year to do. Yeah, well, put him under center. Well, he's played center before.
The last play of his career, he played center and got jacked by the 49ers.
I think we might need an assistant running backs coach, too.
All right, we'll come back.
It's true.
When we do, we'll hit some B&E facts of the day, some more buck-offs and buck-ons coming in on the Specs text line. First, Craig Way. Viking Fence is the premier fence company in Austin, Texas, and have been for 50 years, more than 50 years now. They started installing and becoming a great company in 1972, and they still here today in 2023, locally owned and operated, and they do it all. When every fence need you have, every division at Viking Fence is the best. The wood privacy fences for your home or business. We tell you about their on-site lumber mill. No one else has that, where they mill the western red cedar. They don't rely on the lumber yard or the big box store for their fence posts and pickets and materials. They do it right there on the premises to ensure a higher quality and better fence and a better value on your fence. And because they control that raw material in the own mill, boy, the decorative and design styles they can do for your fence is incredible. You go to vikingfence.com and look at their residential fencing gallery, even the commercial fencing gallery. Incredible what they do. I mean, you need a fence as just a practical matter, but boy, it becomes a design piece, becomes an accent piece and a fixture for your home, beautifying your house and your property. Viking Fence does that for you better than anybody. Check out that gallery at vikingfence.com. Iron fences and gates, perimeter security, and the temporary rental fence division. Everything is on point and locked in at Viking Fence and has been for over 50 years now. Go to the website or call them 837-6411 at Viking Fence. That's 837-6411, or go to that website. You can see the galleries, get a quote, finance your project there, get all the current promotions, all there for you at your fingertips at vikingfence.com. When you think fence in Central Texas for 50 years, it's a Viking Fence. B&E facts of the day on the way to the top of the first hour, wrapping up. And apparently it's a fact that I am the reason the Longhorns lost the baseball game yesterday. This
you
says,
put it on them?
Jinxie-ass E. Jinxing the blank out of the Texas baseball team yesterday. All that regional hosting talk. Okay, that's. I'm glad you believe I have that much power over a sporting event. Yeah, but I mean, on a 4-hour sports conversation program, we're not going to talk about the Longhorns' opportunity to host a regional, which is still in play. Took a hit yesterday with a 6-3 loss to Kansas, but I appreciate you believing I have that much control over a baseball game.
Would that listener rather us talk about the reasons why they aren't going to host a regional for 4 hours?
They just get there.
They complain about that too.
Exactly. But also on the facts of the day and buck-ons and buck-offs, buck-on to the Florida Panthers and Matthew Tkachuk. How about this guy? He scores a goal last night with 5 seconds left in the game to push the Florida Panthers into the Stanley Cup Finals. It's the fourth one-goal win for Florida in the 4 games.
Goalers.
I think they're 12-1 since they were down 3-1.
And they were down 3-1 to mighty Boston. Boston with the greatest regular season in the history of the sport. And they were down 3-1, and they've only lost one hockey game since then as an 8 seed. That's an incredible story. That's why we love sports. You just never know. Also, speaking of never know and buck on buck, you ever heard there's a female golfer named Amy Olson?
Okay.
She just qualified for the U.S. Women's Open 6 months pregnant. 6 months with child. She's earned $2.6 million over her 10-year LPGA career, but she said she wanted one more shot at Pebble Beach before having her baby.
Don't let Becky Hammond know.
She said, I'm going to waddle up there. I'm going to waddle up there and do whatever I can, she said.
Hell yeah.
How about her? Just going ahead smooth qualifying for the U.S. Women's Open.
Get it done. And believe me, she's not hiring any nannies once it's over either.
That's a cool story. That's
She'll
pretty
be
awesome.
there being mom.
That is pretty cool. So buck on to her for sure as we crank this thing up. And, buck off to the Longhorns. Tough loss yesterday. That's how baseball go, whether it's a jinx or not. Longhorns now have work to do. They're coming out of the loser's bracket. They'll play this morning at 9 o'clock. We're going to check in with Craig Way coming up on our 8 o'clock hour ahead of that game. Find out, I'm assuming it's LeBaron Johnson Jr., the first-team All-Big 12 right-hander, getting the ball today for the Longhorns. And they are playing a K-State team who yesterday gave up 16 runs in a loss to TCU. They got beat around pretty good. So Longhorns need to take advantage of that pitching staff if they can and get one of their best pitchers on the mound and get back to winning, because if they can win this morning, they'll have to come back and play on Friday afternoon and then try to get themselves into the weekend. But work to do now, double elimination tournament. Longhorns are going to have to win some ball games here. We'll pick that up coming up. Also, the NBA Finals, the Florida Panthers are into the Stanley Cup Finals. Can the Miami Heat, they share a building, can they join them? By the way, it's a pretty good week for Brooks Koepka. Brooks, he won the PGA Championship. He was in the building in the suite watching Florida win both of their games this week, and he was in the game in the building to watch the Heat play and lose to Boston. Brooks Koepka, sports fan.
Hell yeah, man. He's got lots to do. Plus, get on that Ryder Cup team.
He looked pretty awake. You know what I mean? Wasn't blinking.
Oh no.
No, there's a GIF of him now, like a psychopathic stare.
With him clapping?
Yeah, with him clapping.
For like a minute straight with not blinking, wide-eyed.
It's crazy. Brooks Koepka looks like the Terminator.
It'll be like that after they had that first baby. Be plenty sleepy.
We will be back. Second hour of our shortened program today because of Longhorn baseball, so stick with us. That's B&E on the Horn. B&E on a Thursday. Sun coming up. What's going to be another warm day in the ATX. Looks like a warm weekend, Memorial Day weekend on tap. Not a good day for the Longhorns in Arlington yesterday. Not a good day for the higher-seeded teams in Arlington at the Big 12 baseball tournament. As 3 of the 4 lower-seeded teams won yesterday. Longhorns playing out of the losers bracket now. We'll get you details. Also, not a good night at Q2 Stadium where Austin FC just looks tired. You know, last night was their 6th match since May 6th. So over a 19-day period, they've played 6 matches. They looked at last night, and they'll play their 7th on Saturday night down in Houston on what should be a warm, muggy night in the in H-Town. So, yeah, they just looked sloppy and sluggish last night. We'll get you details on that one. And so I did not know this, something you did not know. I did not realize that the Florida Panthers and the Miami Heat do not share a building in South Florida. They actually play in different arenas. Did you know that, T.Y.? The Heat, this past January, I went on a trip to Miami with the Pluckers team, and I took a long walk and ended up right down by where the Miami Heat play. It's right on South Beach. I mean, it's right there on the beach, which is pretty cool. Great-looking building, great-looking area. I thought that's where the Florida Panthers played, too. They actually play up in Fort Lauderdale. Did not know that.
I didn't realize they played
I did not realize that either.
Thank you for the texture.
How far is Fort Lauderdale from
far.
Miami?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah, 35.
So it's like Arlington to Dallas, essentially.
Yeah, about that.
Mm-hmm.
What college is in Fort Lauderdale? Is that FA?
Fort Atlantic?
FIU?
Fort Lauderdale, that's where you used to recruit, Buck.
Yeah. They got great high schools there, Deerfield Beach and St. Thomas Aquinas.
FAU is the Boca
Vista.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to the colleges. I know the U Miami is in Miami.
Most of those are
Craig
North
Way would
Florida.
know.
Craig Way would know because Craig Way knows all.
Central Florida. Most of those are north.
Central Florida's up in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that. South Florida is over Tampa Way, I think. I don't know where South Florida is. It's probably in South Florida.
South Florida's in Tampa. They used to play at Raymond James, so I'd assume that's in
there you go.
Tampa Bay area.
There you go. And we know Florida State's up there in Tallahassee, way up in the Panhandle. But, there's a little Florida geography, and thank you for the texter. Also, still just like bucking off Bill Connolly for this list of quarterbacks, best college football quarterbacks since 2000. Think about this. In addition to having Baker Mayfield number 1, which is not right, he's got Lamar Jackson, Marcus Mariota, and Robert Griffin in the top 10 ahead of Jameis Winston and Matt Leinart. I mean, Jameis Winston won a Heisman. Jameis Winston won a national championship, for crying out loud.
Jameis Winston beat Marcus Mariota, did he not, in the national championship?
Mm-hmm. Matt Leinart was unbelievable for USC. He's down at 17.
I think Matt Leinart had 2 losses in his career.
And he's behind Marcus Mariota. The hell we doing?
Trying to piss people off.
Robert Griffin III, I like RG3, but, I mean, come on, man.
Lamar Jackson's up there pretty high because, he won a Heisman, right?
Won a Heisman.
But the Louisville didn't do. I mean,
but
again,
I don't want to be the ring chaser, but championships matter, right? Winning national championships would be a significant piece to the resume in my mind. Which that would be Matt Leinart, that would be Jameis Winston, yeah, and yes, Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow, Vince Young, Cam Newton, all would be ahead of Baker Mayfield.
Florida International is in Miami.
I don't know what we're doing. What are
we doing,
with
Bill? University of Miami. The other one's in Boca Raton.
It says, I went to Fort Lauderdale for a work conference, stayed across the street from that arena. I had no idea. See? We just don't know. You just don't know sometimes.
That's probably why they're not selling out any of these games.
Nobody knows where it is?
They're not selling out games?
I don't know about last night, but I know the first game that they played in the conference finals was not a sellout.
Well, I don't think they were expecting to be there.
They're all at highlight.
They weren't supposed to get past mighty Boston in round 1, and here they are. But, yeah, so we'll take your buck-ons and buck-offs. It is a buck-off Thursday, of course. Annual or weekly feature here on the Horn. So bring those strong specs. Text line 512-337-3776. Let's get to the other headlines, though, trending topics to start your Thursday morning. UBO Business Services brings them to you. Day 1 at the Big 12 baseball tournament in Arlington. Surprise parties across the board. Only one higher-ranked seeded team won yesterday. Longhorns are going to have to play through that losers bracket. They dropped their opening game yesterday to 8-seeded Kansas as the top seed in the tournament, 6-3. Locked in a 2-2 tie in the 7th is when the game changed. Texas head coach David Pierce elected to walk the Jayhawks' best hitter, Koji Shojinaga, to load the bases with 2 outs for their cleanup hitter, Jansen Reeder. Reeder proceeded to jump all over a full-count slider from Texas right-hander Travis Staley, drove it into the right center field seats for a grand slam. That gave the Jayhawks a 6-2 lead, and they would not relinquish it, going to win it 6-3. Horns will now face Kansas State in an elimination game this morning, 9 a.m. at Globe Life. Wildcats were pummeled by TCU in their opener yesterday, 16-3. 8:45 pregame. You hear the game right here on the Horn this morning. Other finals from Arlington yesterday, as we said, also upset. 7th-seeded Oklahoma, top 2-seed Oklahoma State, 9-5. 6th-seed Texas Tech put 3rd-seed West Virginia into the losers bracket with a 6-2 win. Not a good night at Q2 Stadium either for Austin FC. They bowed out of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup with a 2-0 loss to the Chicago Fire. Sloppy and fatigued is how Josh Wolf described his team. They put only 2 of their 9 shots on goal last night. They're going to play at Houston on Saturday night. NBA playoffs took the night off. Western Conference champion Denver Nuggets swept the Lakers, so they're waiting on an opponent for the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat could fill that spot with a win tonight in Boston. Game 5 of the Eastern Finals is this evening. Heat are up 3-1. As we mentioned, Stanley Cup playoffs in the NHL. Florida Panthers into their first Stanley Cup in 27 years as Matthew Tkachuk scored a power play goal in the last 5 seconds of the game last night, and they beat the Carolina Hurricanes 4-3. Dallas Stars are facing a potential sweep in their series with Las Vegas. Game 4 is tonight in Dallas. Stars will try to avoid elimination without their team captain. Jamie Benn has been suspended 2 games for his cross-check on Golden Knights forward Mark Stone in their Game 3 loss to Dallas on Tuesday. All right, so buck off to Jamie Benn. That's a big one. You can't do that. You're the captain of the team. Can't get suspended 2 games.
Yeah, it was dumb, but that 2 games is too many. 1 too many.
Well, even 1 game may not matter. You may have to serve that next year.
That's probably why they decided to do that. I'm telling you, they're not coming back anyway. Well, let's send a message that we don't want all this violence in the NHL. But I mean, that was just a dumb play on his part. But 2 games.
I think the NHL still embraces violence, but at the same time, you can't use your stick. And that becomes the biggest thing. Stick work that's a weapon in your hands. And he hit him twice and knocked him down, as they were skating next to each other, and then pounced on top of him, put a stick across his jaw. He tries to say that he was bracing his fall, which is another
your
buck
face,
off.
Your jaw braced the stick from hitting the ice. Yeah. I mean, it was a dumb play by your captain. But I don't know if it was worthy of 2 games.
2 games.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
But either way, dumb decision by Jamie Benn.
He shouldn't have been in that situation.
And the other thing is, I don't know Jamie Benn's resume enough. Is this a Draymond Green kind of? This isn't his first incident. It's a repeat offender kind of thing. That could play into it as well. If it was the first time, maybe just a 1 game. But the fact that he's been in this spot before and been told not to do that, and he's out 2 games for the Dallas Stars, and might just be 1 game.
Would you say
tonight.
he's more their enforcer kind of? Is he more their enforcer? I mean,
who, Jamie Benn? No.
I mean, he was a part of the Texas Stars team that won the Calder Cup championship here in Austin.
Well, they expect him to be in the scoring.
I mean, he's been a mainstay for the Stars for the last 5 years.
Well, let's dive into your Coach's Corner on a Thursday morning. It's brought to you by Tom McKeag, big hockey fan, and his team at Audio Visual Consultations, avconsultations.com online. Never, ever make you feel stupid. Yeah, Longhorns are going to have to battle their way now. And if you're looking at the RPI this morning, the Longhorns lost to Kansas yesterday. A 500 baseball team drops them from 20 down to 26, which obviously is a shot to their hopes of hosting a regional. All I'll say is this. There's a lot of baseball to be played. It would be hard for me to believe, and I guess it could happen, that the state of Texas won't have a host regional, the whole state. And there's a chance at this point. Because, the SEC and the ACC have really separated from the rest of college baseball. Those 2 conferences have really dominated the sport this year, Southeastern Conference and the Atlantic Coast Conference. Big 12, has been down, but I think why people say it's down is that there hasn't been one dominant team. There hasn't been, a top 10 kind of team all year. West Virginia climbed into the top 10 when they came in here to Austin. They were number 6 in the country. And Texas, of course, swept them, and West Virginia lost yesterday. So West Virginia, of course, was hoping to host a regional. That may be slipping through their hands as well with their late performance here in Austin and again up in Arlington yesterday. They're into the losers bracket as well. But I don't think it's out of the question if the Longhorns can win today, get a game on Friday and
get two
games that they still could. But, yeah, I mean, that was a hit to it yesterday. And, it's weird that Lucas Gordon, the Big 12's pitcher of the year, has been so good all year. And his 2 starts where he looked the least sharp in Big 12 play was against Kansas. The Longhorns took 2 out of 3 from the Jayhawks in Lawrence, but they lost the Lucas Gordon game on Friday night 10-4. And Lucas was hit around pretty good by the Jayhawks. And this one, he only gave up 2 runs, but he was battling the whole time. I mean, the Jayhawks came after him, getting ahead. He likes to get ahead with strikes, and they were aggressive in the batter's box. And Lucas just wasn't as sharp as we've seen him, and that happens. But he battled. He got 5 innings and only gave up the 2 runs, and it was 2-2 in the 7th, anybody's ball game late, and it was Kansas that hit the big grand slam. And I don't think it was a bad strategical move in our coach's corner by David Pierce to walk their best hitter, who had already put 2 hits on the board on the ball game, to get to a guy who was 0 for 3 and bats about 270. But Travis Staley couldn't get the final out of that inning and ended up letting the slider crawl back across the plate. And see you later. Grand salami time. Tough loss for the Hornets.
That was a tough loss.
Yeah, somebody said Dallas Baptist could host, and they could. I mean, I think it's between Texas and Dallas Baptist right now to host the regional in the state of Texas. I heard Craig Way and Keith Moreland talking about it yesterday that, Oklahoma State's a team that's hoping to have a good weekend and maybe host a regional in Stillwater, but they lost yesterday to Oklahoma.
Did A&M win yesterday?
A&M lost.
They lost?
Lost to Arkansas.
A&M and Texas will both play breakfast baseball today. A&M will play at 9:30 this morning in the SEC tournament, and Texas will play at 9 o'clock in the Big 12 tournament. So, yes.
Did Florida end up winning their game last night in baseball in the SEC?
I got to get the scoreboard. I don't have it in front of me.
I know Vanderbilt won. They beat Auburn. Stanford beat Cal. Tech beat West Virginia, like we said, but those are the only scores I've seen.
All right. What a good-looking baseball team that is.
SEC's loaded. SEC is loaded. And right now, Wake Forest, and out of the ACC, is the number 1 team in the country. They're really a good ball club. So, but again, I think the Horns, the team we saw play West Virginia for 3 games, can play with anybody in the country. That team yesterday, that's how baseball is. You just don't, have it every single game. And you give Kansas credit. Kansas is not a good team, but a lot of the games they've won this year have been with that pitcher on the mound. That's their Friday starter, who's pitched a lot of baseball in Big 12 competition, and he pitched pretty darn well. Went pitch to pitch with, Lucas Gordon, and that's baseball. 1 pitch, really, and really 1 inning separated the game. And the Longhorns are now coming out of the losers bracket, trying to get back in it. But all the 3 teams that shared the conference title all lost yesterday at the Big 12 tournament. So they'll all have to come out of the losers bracket, and they all face elimination today with Oak State, West Virginia, and Texas. Only team to win was TCU. So we'll keep an eye on that today. Another quadruple header of action from the Big 12 baseball tournament, and taking your buck-offs and buck-ons here on B&E. Do the Heat close out the Celtics tonight, or is this going to be a Celtics win? Celtics are favored by 8.5 points. I'm not going to gamble on this.
Go ahead and get that value at plus 260 for the Heat tonight.
That would be – you got to take those 8.5 points.
Boston has sucked at home. They've been better on the road this whole entire postseason.
They have been. But is this series over tonight, or we go back to Game 6? Can
no,
the Celtics get it?
Go back to –
We're going back to South Beach?
Yes.
Look, if you're Eric Spoelstra in the Heat, you got to have some immediacy about this. That that
you
Denver's
don't want to give
waiting.
them any life.
Yeah, Denver. Well, that, and then Denver's waiting. Denver's already getting off their feet, resting, getting ready for you. You've got to go to a Game 6. I mean, you'll do it if you have to, if you're the Heat. But if you're Eric Spoelstra and you've got something up your sleeve, you might want to bring it out tonight, which is just there's no secrets at this point of a playoff run in a series. Jimmy Butler, and the one thing we know about Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan's baby, as some people say. Have you heard that conspiracy theory, Buck? We talked about it before, that there are those who believe that Michael Jordan may have sired our man Jimmy Butler back in the day. They look alike if you put them side by side. They play alike.
Is that the same ones where Elvis is still really alive?
Yeah. Well, and Jimmy apparently doesn't know who his father is. It goes on and on. But he's playing like Michael Jordan at times in these playoffs, and he could go off for one of those 40-point games at any point. But so could Jason Tatum. By the way, I have a little note on Michael Jordan. You want to hear this? Michael Jordan, MJ, he likes cars. You know that? He likes fast cars. Michael Jordan has purchased a custom Hennessy Venom F5 Roadster, which retails for $3.5 million. The Jordan Roadster can top 300 miles an hour. is one of just 30 in existence. Could you ever see yourself buying a $3.5 million vehicle?
Yeah, if I had 500 million.
If I had $1 billion.
Sure.
But one of my homework tasks this weekend during the 3-day weekend is I'm going to watch the movie Air. I still have not seen it. I've
heard really good things.
Me too.
And really bad things. So
look, if you're looking for Marvel movies and explosions and action,
so maybe
that's
I'll like
not
it.
This. I've heard the same thing, that it kind of moves slow, but you're telling the story of how Michael Jordan became the Nike, ambassador, and how that came about.
As good as he is, I'm going to say his mama was the boss.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I saw an interview with Matt Damon where he said he and Ben Affleck talked to Jordan about it, made sure it was good with him that they were making this movie, and he was fine with it. But then they asked him, we need, which characters are the most important in this, and he talked about George Raveling, his coach at the coach at USC at the time, who helped identify Jordan, and there was one other. Oh, Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker plays a role in this.
Tucker's in it?
Yeah. And I believe that's who's in. And then his mom. He said, my mom was huge in this decision to join Nike. And they said, who do you want to play your mom? And he said, without hesitation, Viola Davis. Viola Davis should play my mom. And she did in the film. So I'm going to see that film this weekend. I'm going to have to do that because it looks good. And it's Affleck and Damon, man. It's like Good Will Hunting reunited, talking Michael Jordan. Because remember, the storyline is that Nike was this up-and-coming little company trying to compete with Converse and Adidas. And I mean, then the story goes that Magic Johnson, among others, turned down the Nike deal. Nike came to Magic Johnson when he was a young star with the Lakers coming out of Michigan State and made the same offer. Said, look, we want you. And Nike was not a big brand, so Magic didn't take it.
Nike was a track shoe, was it, at that time?
And Phil Knight, but the thing is, Magic was offered a stake in the company. Like, we'll pay you this, but you will become, which is what Jordan got too, which again, I mean, how many millions and billions of dollars is that if you take it, if you're Magic Johnson? Now, Magic Johnson's done very well. It's not like he's hurting for money, but that's a decision he made that was, I might have just gone with Nike. But obviously, Jordan was the right call. But, I mean, I haven't seen the film yet, but, the basic concept is they were an unknown company in the shoe brand in basketball, they were looking to identify the next great star so they can get ahead of the curve, right, and identify that player before he becomes a superstar. And that was Michael Jordan. And it worked out pretty good for Phil Knight and Nike. 6 championships later.
And $1 billion for Michael. Billions.
He's still raking in money from that brand because he owns a share of the company. He's got his own Nike Air brand, for crying out loud. So, yeah, he can afford the custom Hennessy F5 Roadster.
It's the 300 miles an hour, and it's like, where do I get to do that at? I-35, what am I talking about? The tollway.
I would never take that anywhere near I-35.
How about the tollway?
Some knucklehead would ram into me. Those cars are built just outside of Sealy, Texas, at Hennessy Performance. I did not know that. See, learn something every day here on this show. Sealy, Texas, home of Eric Dickerson. Sealy, Texas. This says Air is a great movie. This says the movie was awesome. It's a good story. Watch and enjoy. Watched it last weekend. Definitely entertaining. This says Chris Tucker is great in Air, the movie. He plays the USA basketball coach. So there you go. Good stuff. Appreciate that. I'm going to have to do that this weekend. You got any big weekend plans, Buck, for your
Hell no.
Memorial Day? Come on, man.
No.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Not heading out to Hippies Hollow?
No. Nothing.
Just sleeping?
Just relaxing. This will be relaxing.
Got your new puppy, yeah.
Got my new puppy. Just got a lot of...
Doing some training?
No. Still too young.
You just got him. Lou. We'll be back when we pick it up on the other side. We'll hit more buck-ons and buck-offs. Appreciate all the recommendations on the movie. Everybody that's texted this morning likes the movie Air. Liked it a lot, as a matter of fact. So I look forward to seeing that and bring back a review. Ty will have Hot or Not for the end of the hour. We'll check in with Craig Way from the press box and ready to call the Longhorns losers bracket game with Kansas State. It's a Buck Off Thursday on B&E.
Folks, Dr. Greg Ecker and his all-star group of professionals do everything from general dentistry to the most advanced. Now, restoring teeth, he did that for me in just 2 easy visits. And I do appreciate the great doctor for over 6 years having these veneers. But if you have a problem and you're thinking about dental implants, this is the place that you want to go because he's doing a lot of these also. And he'll turn that frown upside down in just one day, whether it's one tooth or a bunch of teeth. Dr. Ecker will give you a smile that you deserve in just one day. Give him a call today at 512-345-3166. How about general dentistry like extractions, teeth cleaning, cavities like I had done just last week? I had a cavity that's been in there for a little while, and I went to Dr. Eckert and got it done. Teeth whitening, tooth loss solutions, of course, we talked about that. And Dr. Eckert, when it comes to dental anxiety, this is the place that you want to go. A lot of folks won't go to the dentist because they're just flat out scared. Now, if you go to Dr. Eckert and his staff, believe me, you're not going to be sitting around wondering what's going to happen next or here we go, I'm now 45 minutes into this. Dr. Eckert, with Dr. Greg Eckert and his staff, you're there for a couple minutes in the waiting room, then he'll have you back, and then you'll sit back and talk with him about what you want to have done, whether it's veneers or dental implants or just dental dentistry. Dr. Eckert will do that. He wants you to feel good about your dental care, and Dr. Eckert is the very best at dental care. Over 1,400 cases of restoring teeth, almost 28 years of service in this Austin area. He is the very best. And if you want to be a new patient to Dr. Eckert, give him a call today at 512-345-3166. He is our dentist. He can be your dentist also.
Yeah, tributes now pouring in from across the entertainment and music world for Tina Turner. Mick Jagger with a real nice statement released. Said, so saddened by the passing of my wonderful friend Tina Turner. She was truly an enormously talented performer and singer. She was inspiring, warm, funny, and generous, helped me so much when I was young, and I will never forget her.
She was the best.
She was the best. Also, Beyonce put out a nice statement as well. My beloved queen, Beyonce wrote in a tribute to Tina Turner. I love you endlessly. So 83 years young, died in Switzerland after a battle with a long battle with an illness. The great Tina Turner. Would you agree that she is the queen of rock and roll? The queen of rock and roll?
I would say, yeah.
I think that's probably good.
Is that rock and roll?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's a rocker.
You watch her perform on stage, it's not a lot different than what you watch Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones do. I mean, she came from a more rhythm and blues realm with Ike Turner. But
when she left Ike, she became a real rocker.
Yeah, she did. And that's what she called herself.
What did Ike do after?
Nothing.
I'm unfamiliar
Beat
with
up
the story.
women.
That's all I know about.
Beat up other ladies. But no, there's a great documentary about Ike and Tina and the abuse she put up with and dealt with, and how he convinced her that she was nothing without him. And
a Joe Jackson kind of.
Yeah, well, and they were married, obviously, and he.
No, Joe wasn't married to his kids,
but she was always a super talented person, and he kind of squashed that for a long time and rode her coattails. And then when she finally got out, she became a megastar, absolute megastar. That's why her career blossomed so late. She was not like a teen pop star, but it came at the right time as far as she became a rock star in the 80s with the videos and MTV and the performances. I mean, her live concerts were legendarily long and entertaining and tremendous. So
sounds like a lot of ladies looked up to her.
For sure. Well, I mean, before her, there was not a lady you would look on stage and see doing what she was doing, right? There just wasn't. There was not there was plenty of lead male frontmen.
Well, I'm just talking about like the off the stage stuff, like the ability to get away from an abusive relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And, be up.
She was in it for a while.
Be open about it and talk about.
Sure.
All those dark times.
Trailblazer for sure. And female rock and roll stars don't come. And she was rhythm and blues too. She could dance. She was total package, without a doubt. And great songs. Hey, so National Fine Wine Day as well. You know what's cool about this show, Buck? Buckle into this show because we have great people, great listeners, great cast here, and we're of different ages. You're 67, correct?
Am I?
So is that your age? You were born in 1955.
Yes, I will be 68 next month.
In a month. I'm 50. Ty is 25. And so this leads us to this conversation. 40 things, if you did any of them growing up, you're officially old. Let's see how many of these. I know you and I did a lot of them, but how many did Ty do? Have you ever used a pencil to wind up a cassette tape?
No.
You did that, right?
Of course I did.
Who didn't do that?
Yeah.
When the cassette tape would get all...
Oh, yeah.
Get out your number 2 pencil, start winding that bad boy up, hope it still works.
Absolutely.
Ty, did you ever hear someone yell, "Get off the internet, I need to use the phone"?
Yes.
Okay. So we're about to...
I was a dial-up kid.
Dial-up internet. Remember when we were doing this show at the very beginning and I did commercials and endorsements for something called Everyone's Internet?
Everyone's Internet.
Everyone's Internet?
Everybody's on it.
Dial up. Get off the phone. Ty, did you or your parents ever have a car that needed 2 different keys, one to unlock the door and then one to start the ignition?
Yes, I've had a car that you had to do that with.
He just gave one away yesterday. He just sold one yesterday that had the same.
Think about that. You had to one key to unlock it and then one key to start it. Now you just have a button and you don't even need that a lot of the times.
Well, I was in a car. I'm old enough to be in a car without the blinker where you had to stick your arm out the window and making a left-hand turn.
Like you're on a bike?
Yeah.
What?
Well, if you didn't have a blinker, you had to indicate.
Yeah, it indicate which way you were going.
That's so illegal. There's no way that was legal when that was
It
happening.
was illegal. It's the way you had to turn. You had to stick your arm out the window. You're taking a left turn, you had to stick your arm out there.
Remember when you wanted
what the hell did we do for right turns, by the way?
You put it down like this.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Was that a down?
Left, right, stop. Got to learn all that. I had to learn that when I was doing my paper route because I was driving a moped and I had to be able to.
Signals to the folks?
Yeah. Well, you didn't have, turn signals on a moped. It says, remember when you had to watch a movie and you had to switch it to channel 3 to be able to, that's where the movie channel was?
Oh, yeah.
And it had different inputs. You ever have that, Ty?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did you ever burn yourself accidentally with a car's cigarette lighter?
Oh,
yes.
You ever do that, Buck?
Yes.
The cigarette. There's still cigarette lighters. My car has a cigarette lighter.
Every car has a cigarette lighter.
It does?
No, but it's just it's a
where
charging
you stick
jack
in
now.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. It's still a cigarette lighter, I think.
Well, that doesn't get hot.
Yeah, but is it lighted cigarettes or that's just what it is now?
I don't know. I guess I just assumed that they all light cigarettes. That's what I'm used to.
No,
maybe not.
They're just charging stations now, mostly.
You go ahead and 7-Eleven, buy yourself a torch if you want to do whatever you want to do. Whether it's
I cleaned out my car when I sold it yesterday.
How many you find of those?
I found about, not kidding, 75 empty lighters in my car. Not kidding.
Channel 3 is great.
Wow.
I love that. Remember, do you ever have a push-up pop, Buck? So you're actually eating ice cream out of a toilet paper roll? Did you ever have that?
For sure.
A push-up pop? Yeah. Like an actual
push-up pop?
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Those still around?
That means you're old?
Well, I didn't know they're still around. A lot of these things are gone. Did you ever
I guess you haven't seen that around as much.
I've still seen a push-up
Had you
pop.
actually ever use a payphone?
Yes.
Okay. So you're still of age enough.
And there still are payphones out there.
Where?
Are there really?
Yes.
I haven't seen.
They still. What are they? A quarter? They can only be a quarter. I mean, I was around them when they were a dime.
Some of these things, I'm like, they might just be in my imagination because I've seen them so much in my life. But now that I think about it, I can't think of the last place I did see a payphone.
That's where the true drug dealer does his work, at a payphone.
No, you can
you
can catch a criminal.
Drug dealer.
You can catch a criminal and they use a payphone still.
Yeah.
Nice.
It says all vehicles can come with a cigarette lighter, but it's an add-on accessory now.
No, that would cost you now.
75 cents for a payphone now. Come on,
What?
man. Inflation's crazy out there on the payphones. All right, so we'll run through some more of those coming up. Did you ever find out what movies were by looking in the newspaper, Ty?
Definitely when I spent a lot of time in Lockhart with my grandfather growing up.
There you go.
He was a big newspaper guy, and he'd always give me a copy. So
Bucky may still find the movie theater listings in the newspaper.
I'm a big fan of newspapers. Whenever I can, I'm just not. I was never one to buy one for myself. If there's one laying around, I'll flip through it though.
I was forever, but I've kind of weaned myself off it. I delivered newspapers. My dad worked for the Houston Chronicle. I always used to, and you still read the paper, Buck.
It seems like the quality probably has gone down.
Well, now
Well, the newspaper here is 2 days behind.
Yeah, you're 2 days old.
What?
It's 2 days behind.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
With the sports news, I mean, everything's online. If you want current sports and current news,
anything that happens after 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, sorry, you don't get it to the day after that.
They used to.
Oh yeah,
sit in there. And
they used to hang
in the morning,
there.
right? Yeah.
Well, and that's I remember when my father was working at the Houston Chronicle. He was the first person to tell me, this is all going online.
Hippie Hollow used to be the place to be. Ty.
With a newspaper or just
no,
in general?
In general. Why take a newspaper
random.
with the holes cut out? Holes in the eyes there.
1 or 2 holes?
Just 2.
Okay.
All right, Longhorn baseball, 9 o'clock this morning, 8:45 pregame. We're going to talk to Craig Way and preview that big game today. It's an elimination game for the Longhorns. Won't be the last game of their season, but the next couple of days may determine if the Longhorns are going to be able to host a regional. They took a hit yesterday with the loss to Kansas, 6-3 to the Jayhawks. Remember, the Jayhawks beat them in game 1 of their series in Lawrence, beat Lucas Gordon. Longhorns bounced back and won the next 2. If they could win a couple games now, they don't play Kansas today. They play Kansas State, and then they'll try to get themselves into a Friday afternoon game in a loser's bracket scenario. But they could get 2 wins on the board today and tomorrow. Still back in the mix, I would think, for the regional. But, man, yesterday was not a good outcome for that prospect. It was kind of a rough day and night all around. I mean, outside of Ty's Texas Rangers, Longhorns lost. The 3 co-champions of the Big 12 lost. Texas State lost their game in the Sun Belt tournament. Austin FC lost last night to the Chicago Fire, which, by the way, that's a cool name for a team, the Chicago Fire.
Now, do you remember when the National Broadcasting Network would go off at midnight when the TV would just go?
Oh, yeah.
They play the national anthem and it'd just go.
It's like usually at 2:30, like 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
They should re-implement that.
Yeah, but they play the national anthem and then
go to bed.
Go to bed midnight.
Please.
Was yours at 2 o'clock? Really?
Talk to your family.
I think mine was at midnight.
I remember it being just about this time of year when school would end. My brother and I would stay up late and watch the David Letterman show. We love Letterman. And then typically there'd be like rerun sitcoms on, and because we weren't in school, so now we could stay up late and didn't have to get up early the next day.
Yeah, mine would hit midnight, and that'd be at all the channels. National anthem.
Well, maybe it did used to be midnight, but I remember it used to go all the way to 2 o'clock, and then they would play it and it'd go blank.
Anything that went to 2 o'clock, that's when ESPN started hitting the market for me, and I'd be watching bowling at like 2.
Well, that's the thing. I always told you when I was never had cable. When I was until I was 18, I moved to St. Ed's and went in the dorms. I had cable all of a sudden. I could watch ESPN. Never had that in my house.
It didn't matter what was on it, sports-wise.
Oh, man,
darts.
I used to watch the Sports Center reruns, like just one after another, like at night, all night. It's like,
doing the same thing over and over.
And here's the top 10 again.
Oh, no way, never. Now I'd go to my buddy's house and they'd have cable, but not at my house. That's why none of my friends ever wanted to come to my house. We didn't have cable. What are we going to watch? We got to watch like over-the-air channels. Watch NBC. That's no good. We need some cable TV. Ty, did you ever try to watch Scrambled Playboy Channel?
Is that like the HBO?
No.
Scrambled.
I know you did that, Buck.
Skinamax.
Is that when you have Juan come to your house and hook it up?
No, not Juan.
Oh, no, Juan.
No, if you had your basic cable, if you went to what the Playboy Channel would be, it would be all squiggly, and every once in a while you could like make out something.
Oh,
yeah.
So you had to like unlock it for it to not be
No,
squiggly?
you
never
couldn't
unlocked.
see anything. It was like all scrambled.
Through the gray and black, you'd have to kind of try to visualize what you were
Why was
watching.
it like that, though?
Because you didn't order it. You didn't have the service. But you were still trying to see when you're like 15.
Still trying to see skin.
You're like 15. Like, was that a nipple? Was that a nipple?
Okay. No, I never
did
that.
Okay. I would imagine some of you out there did. Buck, I know you did that.
Dude, I used to grow up.
You were a Sears magazine guy, though.
Sears and Roebuck catalog.
And that you
Bras
learned,
and panties.
you learned how
Home
to
and
treat the
garden.
ladies in Cosmopolitan. Reading the Cosmo. This is what the ladies like.
And of course, you woke up to, you did your radio in Houston. I woke up to AM radio in Pennsylvania, always trying to win something. They have the prize of the morning before you go to school. I'd call in like 27,000
wacky AM DJ guy.
I won a hair dryer, a blow dryer. That's what I got at one time for my little mini fro.
Hey, we will come back, and Ty will lead us through some hot or not topics on this Thursday morning. Buck-ons and Buck-offs. Craig Way from Arlington. Also, we're going to have a great guest in the 8 o'clock hour to talk about a new partnership we have for Buck-off Thursday that's coming your way in the month of June and beyond. Excited about that as well. It's B&E on the Horn.
Folks, since the very beginning, AB Consultation has taken the approach to create the finest custom systems by establishing the customer's needs and using only quality equipment to achieve them before seeking the lowest price. And they do have the lowest prices in town for sure. Indoor or outdoor music or videos or any combination, your custom home entertainment communication system can be designed to offer you endless enjoyment and beauty by not being obvious for sure. And Tom McKay and his staff, well, their experience allows you and guides you along the journey into the new dimension in entertainment. They've been doing it the right way since 1988, as a matter of fact. And folks, they have everything that you need, all the Sonos equipment, and they're not jacking up prices like a lot of others have. That's my friend Tom McKay and AB Consultations. Give him a call today at 512-255-8678 or check him out online at abconsultations.com.
Hot and Not each morning ahead of the top of the hour at 8. Of course, normally that's halfway through our show, but today our show will end at 8:45 for pregame for Texas baseball. Breakfast and baseball this morning. Baseball and brunch, however you want to go. Kegs and eggs, whatever you're doing for the Longhorns up in Arlington. They need to win today. They'll play Kansas State after losing to Kansas yesterday into the losers bracket. One other note on Tina Turner on a Hot or Not, Buck. You know, Tina Turner, after she split from Ike Turner in the mid-'70s, that abusive relationship, she kind of bounced around. She was doing like TV shows. She was on the Hollywood Squares, and because they had great success together in the 60s and into the 70s. But then when she split, they didn't, no one was coming to bring her in as a solo act, and so she did a bunch of TV shows. She was on a Brady Bunch episode or two, but then she wanted to reinvent herself into this rock star. And one of the ways she did that is she started doing cabaret shows at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, and doing like that's where the short skirts came from and the legs and the performance. But even into the early 80s, she was just seen as a nostalgia act. And that's when in 1984, Buck, that album Private Dancer was released. And she, at an older age, she became a global megastar with that album, which went 5 times platinum and 10 million copies worldwide. What's Love Got to Do With?
Oh yeah, that was the one for her.
Then she toured with Lionel Richie and huge hits.
Lionel's still touring.
Lionel's still going. Oh yeah,
man.
American Idol. He just wrapped up the new season of American Idol.
Man, I watched the audition for that guy that won.
He's good.
Not gonna lie, I brought a tear to my eye.
He's great. Iam Tongi, the big Hawaiian guy, tremendous. Yeah, he won.
Doing it for his dad.
Jennifer's dad.
Doing it for
his dad. Yeah, his dad was a musician, and he passed away, and that's when he did the audition for American Idol and won the whole thing. But yeah, I think Lionel's coming to Austin, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's coming to the Moody Center.
Yeah, that'd be a good show. Remember, didn't you go see Lionel Richie when he played at ACL Fest?
I was down.
And you kissed some lady you didn't even know?
We had a little hug.
Single?
Hugging a smooch. She was
just the moment came over you.
Oh yeah.
Were you grinding in the crowd or what?
No.
With all the youngins up there?
I think we were like dancing on the ceiling or whatever it was.
I says, are y'all doing a blitz at 8:30 today? No, there's not going to be a blitz today.
No blitz.
Y'all have been very
not
good.
Not breaking
though.
programming.
The blitz has been a lot better in the last week and a half.
Blitz has been strong.
Wow.
It's only as good
scary.
as you make it. But,
and scary.
We will not be having that today. It's not that good of a feature. There's
been some fresh content, which I've appreciated.
Yes, new people, new voices into the blitz.
I don't know about all that.
Is a good thing. Hey, Ty, how about this thing? This hell hath no fury, right? How about this? A woman who had discovered her boyfriend, cheating on her. Woman in the UK going viral after she got back at him by hiding smelly foods in his apartment. Yeah. Oh yeah. She hid a bunch of shrimp above one of his curtain windows for months. He couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. She removed a back panel from the TV and put crab meat in it. She brushed the guy's toilet with a toothbrush and put it back in the deal. Oh, man.
That's rough.
That is not cool. But there you go. Can you imagine? You just can't figure out where that smell is coming from. You'd have to be able to track it down at some point. Crab meat in the television?
That's why you get a dog or a cat.
Oh, that's wrong.
Okay.
Cats can solve a lot of issues.
Yes, they can. Yeah. I've got 2.
Our little cat would not. We have a little cat. She's big old Fergie. She'd track that down.
Man,
she likes to kill lizards these days, which is kind of cool. Hunt the lizards. What do you have for us, Ty?
The Seattle Seahawks have officially given away number 3, Russell Wilson's number. Your thoughts? You think that he deserves to be moved on from so quickly? Well, can they retire his number after he retires?
Yes.
And just
yes.
So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
I think they'll retire his number.
Well, other than that, Kyrie Irving was at the Lakers game
courtside
when they got closed out. He said on an Instagram Live yesterday that he's going to take his time with free agency. So hot or not,
yeah, he's looking for another place
Kyrie
to destroy.
Lakers. I think that would work out. I want him back on the Mavs for the record. I think it can still work. You get the right pieces around him. Get a real center. Get another wing defender.
Now, he's a free agent, correct?
Yes, unrestricted free agent.
Well, can the Lakers afford him? I mean, obviously, if you have Davis and LeBron, and then you have Kyrie, that's an upgrade from D'Angelo Russell, without a doubt.
No doubt.
Especially if you can keep some of those kind of glue guys, the Schroeders and Austin Reeves is going to be the one that's probably going to be priced out of their price range at this point. But, will Kyrie and LeBron get along? I mean, they didn't get along in Cleveland first time around after they won a championship. Kyrie demanded out and got his way to Boston because he wanted to be the lead. We'll see. This says Kyrie to the Spurs. Oh, no. Spurs are getting Wembanyama.
I say the Mavs keep Kyrie. They trade for DeAndre Ayton. NBA champions 2024.
So optimistic.
Gotta be.
I would not pick that team to win an NBA championship or beat Denver.
Luka Doncic, baby.
Looks like Phoenix is down to Nick Nurse, and guess who else, Buck? Doc Rivers.
Oh, no.
Doc Rivers,
they're not
who head coach
that.
of the Phoenix Suns. Nick Nurse is in the mix, too.
Nick Nurse needs to go ahead and go to Philly.
Potentially. By the way, I was reading about this Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the Spurs' top pick. You know what his wingspan is? 8 feet. 7'5" with an 8-foot wingspan. Think about that. If he stands in the middle of the lane and puts his arms out, he almost goes free throw line to the basket. You get a shot over that guy.
Can't dunk over him for sure.
Hey, Bucky, breaking news. Lil Kev is 58. He just called to let me know.
What?
Lil Kev just called us to let him know.
Yes.
Yesterday when I was
We
guessing,
were talking about it
42?
yesterday, yeah. 58, Lil Kev.
Hey, coming back, we'll check in live in Arlington to get you ready for the Longhorn game today. Craig Way will check in with us. Also, a big announcement coming your way. It's B&E on the Horn. Put them together for a Buck-Off Thursday on B&E. Buck-Ons and Buck-Offs all morning long, and our morning will be shortened today, and your morning with us, because we'll hand it to Craig Way for the call of Longhorns Wildcats coming up at 8:45 from Arlington. Morning baseball for the Horns. We'll talk to Craig Way here coming up. He's up there in the press box ready to go with the call with he and Keith Moreland. He and Roger Wallace this morning. Keith's going to be on the TV broadcast today. But we still have some time to get some Buck-Offs in and Buck-Ons. Also at the bottom of the hour, we're going to check in with our good buddy J.J. Gotch and announce, talk about a partnership we're going to have with he and the Austin Gamblers on Buck-Off Thursdays through the summer, which we're excited about. And how about this? Buck on to Nikola Jokic. You know, we love sports, and I think watching the Florida Panthers last night, watching this baseball game last night for the Longhorns, you just never know. That's why we tune into sports. It's why they play the games. You know, it's not how you start, it's how you finish kind of thing. And surprises happen all the time, including Nikola Jokic, who was the 41st pick of the 2014 NBA draft by the Denver Nuggets. 41st pick, kind of a chubby Serbian guy. And
during a Taco Bell commercial.
Yeah.
Or a quesarito.
Yeah. You know, he was not a dominant youth player. He really wasn't. And now here he is with the Nuggets into the NBA Finals for the first time in their franchise history, and he is the best player in the world. You know, I mean, we're now used to the prodigies and the young guys who become, or can they live up to the expectations? Here's a guy, Nikola Jokic, who was, you know, not kind of like Tom Brady, right? From Tom Brady,
just hard work.
In the 6th round and a backup quarterback at times at Michigan. Hard work. Yeah, now the greatest quarterback and maybe the greatest NFL player and football player of all time.
Yeah, for Jokic, that's work. That's work ethic. That's getting up early. That's working on your craft when you know you have to.
It is, and that's, I think, as fans, we always need to appreciate what you see them do on the courts and watching Brooks Koepka at the PGA Championship. I mean, what you don't see is the grind behind the scenes, the time put in, working on it and practicing it, and because when great players make really, really difficult things look easy, you know they're not easy, and it just took a ton of work and effort and getting after it, which is. That's why we appreciate them, and hopefully you appreciate when you watch a player like Jokic. And you know, it doesn't mean it's different than a guy that was great at 18 like LeBron James. Same time, different ways to get to the top, and I think that's a really cool story with Nikola Jokic. Also cool, Buck. How about this? You know, we're doing our Callahan's General Store tour of Central Texas golf courses. Big announcement. Yep. You know where we're going to feature and spotlight here into Memorial Day and beyond?
Where's that?
The Butler Pitch and Putt, baby.
Butler Pitch and Putt.
We had a great time down there yesterday. Went down with Omar Uresti and Jacob, our digital director, and played the 9 holes, man. We actually played about 5, and the rain started to sprinkle a little bit, so we finished up at 5. But that is so much fun. I'll just say this. If you want to get into golf, and then maybe you giving up golf or want to get back into it, or you got a youngster that wants to play, I mean, the Butler Pitch and Putt is
we're running a short game.
It's the perfect place to start. Just, bring a wedge and bring a putter, and every hole is 100 yards or shorter, and it's such a cool spot right there in downtown Austin, the green space between Zilker Park and Auditorium Shores.
Make it BYOB again.
Well, but you know what? You know what I did have? They've got that food truck there.
The food trucks are the one that's there is amazing.
Amazing.
They have some biscuits when that's not open inside.
Oh,
yeah, good stuff.
They have this Wagyu burger that I got yesterday. That was like one of the best burgers I've ever had. It's unbelievable, Buck. And for $14, you get this double Wagyu burger, or you can get fries and okra too on the side. And the okra, I was told that I didn't get the okra. I just got the burger. I didn't get the side. No, but the fried okra is the same recipe they used to use at the old Players restaurant down on UT campus. It's now the business school.
That's where I used to have my burgers.
And it's the same recipe. So if you love that okra or those fries, very similar. Yeah, that's a cool spot. So we'll be highlighting Butler Pitch and Putt and talking to the folks over there, and just a cool place. And, we talk about big golf courses and the beautiful courses, the historic and legendary courses of Central Texas. Got to put Butler on there since 1947, Buck. 1947.
Yeah, we need a few short game places. Really do.
I do know this is true. There is another par 3 course that's coming online in the near future. And I can tell you that it's going to be southeast down by the airport.
Cool.
And I believe
near the water?
Yeah, right down on the Colorado River there. And
sweet.
How about this, Buck? The plan is it's going to be lighted. The lighted par 3.
Oh, you don't have to go home. Golf. You don't have to go home.
We asked the guys at Butler if they were going to put lights up so you could play night golf at Butler, and they can't get through the city restrictions.
So rigmarole there.
They are trying to find a way to put up some lower wattage lights and use glow balls
for
so people
putting?
can play at night. Well, yeah, just so you can see the ball, but you can't light up down there. There's residences and there's
Is that owned by the city?
No. Now
So
the city runs it. It's a city park. It's
that piece of property has to be worth.
Well, remember it was almost gone.
It was almost
that
was
and
almost
where the Hooters used to be. I mean, those places being where they are.
Well, and that's and Butler was almost gone, and
Yes, it was
a local group that came together to keep it, and I think it was 4 or 5 local Yeti coolers. They're a part of that. The Cricket Shirt Company, they're a part of it, and they saved it and they put $1 million into it to fix up the tee boxes and bring it back to its beauty, and so now but it's run by the city. But I was told yesterday that Butler Pitch and Putt, far and away the most rounds of golf on that course of any course in Austin, over 100,000 rounds.
It's a lot. You got to put your ball in the little waiting line thing, and you could be waiting for a while.
But you can play the whole thing in 45 minutes.
But a lot of time they have music, out there, like you said, the good food trucks, and
there's a beer garden now where you can sit and have a burger and have a drink.
And practice green.
It is, yeah. You can practice your putting, and they got a cool little. It's just a cool place.
I think they even have like cornhole and stuff there now too.
Yeah, no, it's a cool place to hang out, and it's such an Austin place to be. So yeah, we recommend Butler Pitch and Putt. Buck on to them. Hey, let's get to the headlines, trending topics to start this morning. Then we're going to talk to Craig Way in Arlington. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news. Yeah, day one at the Big 12 baseball tournament in Arlington. Not a good one for Texas. They are going to have to play through the losers bracket now after dropping yesterday to their game yesterday 8-3 to Kansas 6-3. The game was 2-2 in the 7th inning. Anybody's ball game. Texas head coach David Pierce elected to walk the Jayhawks' best hitter to load the bases with 2 outs for their cleanup hitter Jansen Reeder, who proceeded to jump all over a full count slider from right-hander Travis Staley, drove it into the right center field seats for a grand slam. That gave the Jayhawks a lead they would not relinquish, and they'd get the win. They'll play in the winner's bracket. Longhorns will now face K-State in an elimination game this morning in about 50 minutes at Globe Life. Wildcats were pummeled in their opener by TCU yesterday morning, 16-3, 8:45 pregame here on the Horn. The other finals in Arlington were also upsets in large measure. All 3 of the teams that shared the conference title lost yesterday. 7-seeded Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State 9-5. 6-seeded Texas Tech topped West Virginia 6-2. Not a good night at Q2 Stadium for Austin FC either. They bowed out of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup with a 2-0 loss to the Chicago Fire. Fire scored a goal in each half, while Austin appeared sloppy and fatigued, according to their head coach, Josh Wolf. They managed just to put 2 of their 9 shots on goal. Last night was the Verdes' 6th match since May 6th, 19 days. They're going to play their 7th match in a 22-day stretch Saturday night down in Houston. NBA playoffs took the night off last night as the Western Conference champion Denver Nuggets wait on their opponent in the NBA Finals. Miami Heat could fill that spot tonight with a win in Boston. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semis. Heat are up 3-1 in the series. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk scored a power play goal with 5 seconds remaining in the regulation of the game to lift the Florida Panthers to a 4-3 win over the Carolina Hurricane and their first trip to the Stanley Cup Finals in 27 years. They will face likely the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Las Vegas in Dallas tonight for Game 4 of that series. Knights up 3-0. The Stars are going to try to avoid elimination tonight without their team captain, Jamie Benn. He has been suspended 2 games by the league for his cross-check on Golden Knights forward Mark Stone in Game 3 in that loss on Tuesday. Somebody said they tore down the McDonald's next to Peter Pan Golf Club. That's true. The Peter Pan.
That McDonald's sucked. As a McDonald's connoisseur, I visited many of the locations.
That's not the good one, is it?
That was not a good one. The best one.
Twice.
Remember, as we always teach you, the McDonald's is not a burger store. They're a real estate company.
Yes.
McDonald's buys the land, and then they have a franchise owner. Yeah. So when McDonald's sold that piece of land, they did pretty good.
I'm sure.
They did pretty good. Whether the fries were up to your standards, Ty, or not.
They soggy fries.
By the way, that McDonald's
open at weird times.
Well, that McDonald's liked Butler Pitch and Putt, did a lot of business.
Oh yeah,
that place was always packed with people coming out of there. But yeah, McDonald's did pretty well. I'm assuming selling that
William
piece of
Cannon and Manchac, best McDonald's. I think that's William. Yes, William Cannon and Manchac. No.
Somebody said they're actually redoing that McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. Huh.
The McDonald's on Barton Springs? You're saying?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll get up their game a little bit.
Up their game.
Maybe that's part of it. Well, look, I mean, people going, leaving, and coming to ACL Fest and everything that goes on down there. It's right in the middle. Where else would you rather have a fast food restaurant?
How long? I mean, Peter Pan. How much longer did that place have? That's not a very big lot, but it still has to be worth.
It's been there since I've been here. It's been here for over 30 years.
It's been here for like 100 years.
Hey, can we go to the Vaqueros hotline, Cafe and Cantina? But he is on the Comrex up in Arlington, Texas. The play-by-play voice of your Texas Longhorns and host of Light the Tower is Craig Way. Craig, how are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning. And I will see Ty's William Cannon McDonald's location raise you an I-35 and Old Settlers in Round Rock.
There you go.
Solid McDonald's.
Haven't checked that one out yet.
Yeah, that one's a little outside of your jurisdiction there, Ty.
There is a Carl's Jr. up there, though.
Ooh.
Hands down. Best double bacon Western burger you'll get in America.
Carl's Jr.
Yeah, there's one in Georgetown, right there.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on University, so it's good. Hey, it's a good morning to grab breakfast here before coming over here to this ballpark. It is that the team breakfast this morning, by the way, fellas, was 6 a.m.
Okay, yeah.
6 o'clock this morning. So we had breakfast at 6 o'clock this morning. Then came over and I've said this before, but if you ever come to a major league ballpark, because major league ballparks were designed, as we know, to be fan-friendly and environments and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of fun and great for the major league clubs. They're not built for morning baseball. So if you come over, the whole place is like just dark. You're like walking into a big warehouse, and it was kind of weird and a little bit eerie. The Longhorns had that last year when they had the Saturday morning game, which, by the way, they're going to have to win today and tomorrow to get to that Saturday morning 9 a.m. game. That's how it was last year. So it was a little bit spooky, but the Longhorns got over here. They had batting practice at 7:02 a.m. and getting ready for the ball game today.
Well, and K-State had that scheduled yesterday because they played that 9 a.m. game yesterday with TCU. Now, they didn't play well, Craig. They got beat 16-3, but this is second straight day for them on that calendar and schedule. What was the mood of the Texas team? Obviously, coming off the excitement and jubilation of what went on over the weekend with the sweep and earning the number one seed, but then to lose game one, what was the mood of the club this morning getting ready for this one?
They were pretty upbeat, and in fact, I was talking to a couple of the Texas team officials, and they were talking about how these guys were a little more chipper and upbeat and seemed alert and ready to go at 6 a.m. than you might normally expect from 18 to 22-year-olds. But they were, I know what my 23-year-old looks like in the morning, and I know what he's like. But these guys were ready to get back to work, ready to go. I asked David Pearson, we'll hear it coming up on the pregame conversation, if there's a different vibe, not mindset, but a different vibe with the conference tournament as opposed to regionals, super regionals, College World Series. We know what that is. 2 wins and you're done. You're out. Your season's over. But here, when you know you're headed for a regional, even though they didn't approach it in a lackadaisical way, after all, they're trying to, lock down a regional host spot, or at least vying for it to try to be in on that. So when you have that, and I asked him, is there a different vibe? And he said, you don't look for that. You don't want to have it, but sometimes it's just human nature, and that might have been the case with all 3 teams yesterday. I will tell you this. I think the Longhorns are a little bit better positioned coming into the elimination bracket than, say, Oklahoma State or West Virginia, because their pitching just got all beat up yesterday by those teams, the teams they lost to. Whereas, Texas, Lucas Gordon had to kind of struggle his way through 5 innings, and here comes Travis Staley, and it's straight from the book of Otherwise, How Did You Enjoy the Play, Mrs. Lincoln? He had 3 great innings, 1, 2, 3 innings, but it's the one in the 7th on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs, and just didn't get the ball up enough because, like Keith was saying, those left-handed hitters like it down and in on it, and it just worked out to Jansen Reeder to drive it out of the ballpark for the grand slam.
Yeah, and the wonder is David Pierce should have gone lefty there with after walking their best hitter. But either way, Travis
It's a no decision. I mean, if you look at the splits, Aaron,
doesn't matter.
The guy was hitting better against left-handers than right-handers.
Yeah, that's
it was by a long shot. It was a no-brainer. I mean, Cody Shojinaga's batting .385.
Yeah.
He'd already had 2 hits, and by the way, he came up in the in the top of the 9, got a 3rd hit. It was a no. It's all about just executing the pitch. And I will also say this: the thing that really hurt in that inning was the 5-pitch walk to Mike Kazuski. because you had one out, you had a single, and it's like, okay, a little bleeder single. The 5-pitch walk was really hurtful because then Chase Jan's ground ball, if you get Kazuski, then the Jan's grounder, the inning's over. It moved the runners over, so then it puts you in that position of whether you go ahead and you walk the guy who's the leading hitter. I think it was really and truly the only call. Look at it from the other side. If he doesn't do that, and Shoji gets a base hit and they drive in 2 runs and take the lead, maybe that's not a grand slam, but you take the lead, you go, really? You get first base open and you didn't intentionally walk the leading hitter to get to a guy who was not hitting well against right-handers? What would you do? That's that. But by the same token, David will tell you that's a no-win situation there if you don't make the proper pitch.
Right.
And the walk was a big one for sure. And that leadoff guy out of Chicago has been crushing the Longhorns, getting on base, and Shoji has been great all year long. Hey, Craig, the game with K-State, as we said, they gave up 16 runs yesterday to a TCU team that seems to be catching a little fire. Is it LBJ today, LeBaron Johnson Jr. against the Wildcats?
It's definitely LBJ, and it's going to be interesting. Kansas State is going to go with a right-hander named Ty Rule, who's only started 1 ball game. Now, he has, I think, 3 saves. He's a guy who's a veteran. He's 3-4 and a 5.79 ERA, but he's not a guy who's normally a starter. But Kansas State has to piece this thing together, Aaron, because they're in desperate straits. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they seemed to be a lock to be in a regional. They've stumbled down the stretch. They're now just 33-23. They've got to string together some wins. I think they definitely have to get to Saturday just to be in serious consideration to be back in the hunt for a regional. So they've got to pull out all stops today, and they may just try to go opener and then try to piece it together. The Longhorns, on the other hand, obviously it'll be LBJ starting, but they've got other issues. The injuries were a big part of it. Of course, Peyton Powell had to come out of the ball game yesterday. He's had kind of a rib thing that's bothered him. Jared Thomas hurt his back on a swing. Thomas is in the lineup today, so was Powell, but Peyton's going to DH. Jalen Flores will go to third base. Mitchell Daly will start at shortstop. Jared Thomas is in the lineup, and he will bat leadoff today. They're a little banged up, and they're hurting, and there's some other guys banged up as well. But they're getting ready to go today.
What kind of crowd will they get this morning, Craig? Do you think? What was it like yesterday afternoon?
It wasn't bad, but the problem is here's another thing with the Major League ballparks. Bucky, is that you're going to have people sitting back away from the field a little bit, and so the crowd doesn't look as big. There's always a good Longhorn fan representation, and there is some already here making their way in. But it is, after all, breakfast baseball, so it's probably not going to be a big crowd.
As we said earlier, these guys have grown up doing that their whole lives, playing baseball in front of sparse crowds at the morning. That's kind of how you grow up in the game of baseball, playing select and tournaments and that type of thing. But they'll have to get back into that rhythm today. Hey, Craig, the big picture. I know I heard you and Keith talking about it yesterday. If the Longhorns, don't get some wins together, is there a chance the Big 12 doesn't have a host team at all?
Yes.
Of the 10? I mean, because West Virginia has now lost 4 straight, and they could be losing their grip on one. Texas is on the outside looking in right now. Could there be 0 Big 12 regional hosts?
Roger Wallace and I, and of course Roger will join me on the broadcast here for the game, we were just talking about that a little bit ago, and all 3, I think, are on the ropes. And West Virginia may be in the most disadvantageous position. They've got to play Oklahoma State today. Now, let me also tell you about Oklahoma State. They had one pitcher at a shoulder injury, not able to make the trip here. Another pitcher academically ineligible. So they're short on their pitching. So, West Virginia, I think, is in need of the win more than Stillwater. West Virginia wasn't in regional projections as hosting on the 3 major projections that I look at going into this week. Oklahoma State was in all 3 projections. Texas was in 2 of the 3 as hosting. All 3 are in need of wins. All 3, I think, need to feel like they probably need to get to Saturday to feel comfortable about it. And who's sitting back and just saying, hey, go to and barbecue is Dallas Baptist. Yep. Because if they finish well in the Conference USA tournament, there's your state of Texas representative hosting if that's the case there. Not to say that a Texas and DBU couldn't both host. I'm just saying the DBU would sit back and say, hey, if Texas is losing and Oklahoma State is losing and West Virginia is losing, that helps our cause. And it's true. It really would if that were the case.
Craig, we appreciate it. I know you got to talk a lot here starting at 9 o'clock, so we'll let you go and get ready for that. You and Roger Wallace on the call today. Hopefully it's not the last for the Longhorns. If they win today, they'd play tomorrow afternoon in another elimination game. I think that's set for 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, but we'll be looking forward to the call at 8:45 this morning.
Thank you, Craig.
Hey, guys, thanks, and keep Ty Harrington in your thoughts and prayers. He did 4 games yesterday in that Sun Belt tournament, and we were texting last night. He's hurting today. He's playing hurt. So
4 games.
And he's got 4 more today.
Wow.
So hopefully Ty will be okay.
Well, that's good. Appreciate it. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
All right,
stuff.
fellas.
Sounded great up there. Yeah, actually, Ty Harrington just texted us and said, Ty, good morning. Here he is. Ty Harrington says, walking down Poydras Street, getting ready for the Sun Belt tourney. I'm listening to the Horn on the Horn app.
There you go.
Poydras Street in downtown New Orleans. Not bad. Like that place.
The Horn can be heard worldwide.
Take us wherever you go. This Memorial Day weekend, every day, download it. It's amazing to me. I still meet people that love the station but don't have the app on their phone. I mean, come on now. You touch a button and then you touch another button and it's on.
You're in.
You're in. You're listening loud and clear. Like I was listening to the baseball game yesterday on the Horn app. Listening to the Grand Slam, unfortunately, for the Longhorns. But Kansas gets the win. There's Craig with the background. Jared Thomas is in the lineup. Peyton Powell is in the lineup. They both bat, 1-2 in that order, but Peyton Powell will DH. LBJ, LeBaron Johnson Jr., first-team All-Big 12 right-hander, will get the start for the Longhorns. And at this point, Longhorns probably need to go all the way to Saturday, maybe even win this thing to host a regional.
At least playing a championship game.
This says, best McDonald's fast food corporations like McDonald's utilize psychologists to formulate the most addictive, cheapest food additives to generate something that gives you no nutritional value, that creates the addictive pathways in your brain that cocaine does, and then advertise it to kids.
Yeah, I love it.
That's from our man, Horn Psychologist.
I'm loving it.
I'm with you, Horn Psychologist. We appreciate the expert opinion. But I don't eat McDonald's.
My serotonin levels really rise.
I don't either. Only thing I have from McDonald's, and they tell me it's not real ice cream, is that McFlurry.
That's Chick-fil-A, I'm telling you. That's yogurt.
Well, it's not like Chick-fil-A is so much more healthy. It's still fast
Whataburger is the healthiest fast food we learned a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Really?
We had that as far
That's
as healthy, in air quotes, healthiest
healthiest,
fast food.
healthier.
Probably the best natural ingredients, I guess, is what you would say. Out of Corpus Christi, Texas, originally, the Whataburger, the Dobson family. We go to a quick timeout. We come back. We're going to check in with our good friend JJ Gotch. I got to see JJ the other night. The Austin Gamblers have a big event coming up. They got a great new series that's going to premiere on Prime Video. I got to see an episode. Plus, we'll tell you what's coming with JJ, the Gamblers, B&E, and Buck Off Thursday coming back. Callahan's General Store, always a good day to make it a Callahan's Day. Great weekend to get in there for Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you've been following Callahan's, our tour of Central Texas golf courses with Callahan's, and the yard tips to make your yard and lawn golf course ready, make it look like a golf course, and Callahan's has helped us get there. Here we are almost into the summertime, and hopefully your yard is ready to go. You've been putting down that pre-emergent, so your weeds are under control. You did the weed and feed and the proper fertilizers, and your yard is ready to go to handle the Texas summer. That's all at Callahan's General Store, the best garden section you're going to find anywhere, of the products you need, the people to help you buy the right stuff and apply it properly. But Callahan's has a little bit of everything. And the thing I love about Callahan's, not just the people, locally owned and family operated for 45 years, it's the unique items that they source and they bring in, right? It's that pet food that's more healthy for your pets. As we're talking about McDonald's, they source and have the best brands of pet foods. A lot of them are from local folks here. More healthy for your pets, especially if you have dogs, big dogs that have allergies. No one's going to have better selection than our friends at Callahan's General Store, and just your general hardwares and housewares. It's just a cool place, and spend an hour or two in there just wandering around looking at cool things. Callahan's always bringing in cool stuff to put on display there. It's Callahan's General Store, folks, right there, 501 Bastrop Highway between downtown and the airport. That's 183, and still there after all this time, 1978, and still rolling. Find them online at callahansgeneralstore.com. Always a good day to make it a Callahan's Day. Yes. Rest in peace to the great Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll. You said Pat Benatar, though, Buck.
What do you mean, queen of rock and roll? What about Pat Benatar?
I go Tina Turner. All right, so coming up, we're going to be done about 8:40. We're going to hand it off to Craig and the crew with the call from Arlington. Before we do that, can we give a big buck on and welcome on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline our great friend and president of the Austin Gamblers, our buddy J.J. Gotch. J.J., how are you?
Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
Doing fantastic,
good.
J.J. Yourself?
Man, it's a great day in Austin, Texas.
There you go.
It certainly is. We had a great time Tuesday night. You had the event at Alamo Draft House. I know Harge and Rod were out there broadcasting, and what a cool event. You guys do everything so first class, and to see the one of the episodes of the new 8-part series, The Ride, we got to see episode 3, which was when you guys were featured here in Austin last August. Man, that was really cool. It's going to be on Prime Video. You're all through it, JJ. I mean, what's it like watching yourself on the big screen?
A little embarrassing, and then just my wife just ragging on me the entire time, telling me how big of an idiot I am. So it's not enjoyable, to be honest with you. But fortunately, the storytelling and the character development is around the writers. You know, we were fortunate. We were one of the 3 teams that were featured. We had actually 3 of our writers featured that you got to meet the other night, Aaron, with Dakota Lewis and Zeke Mitchell from Rockdale, Texas, and Jose Vitor Leme, who's, you know, arguably the greatest writer in the history of the sport. So fortunately, a lot of the focus is on those guys and a few of the writers that are featured from some of the other teams. And I think when you look at this thing, for us, we hope that it's going to have the same impact for bull riding that Drive to Survive did for F1. Because it's, you know, most times when people either see this sport on TV or go to it, you just see these guys on the back of a bull with their helmet on. And now we're getting them off the bull, out of the arena, helmets off, and, you know, getting to meet them, their families, where they're from, and just hear all the different parts of their life. So we're hoping that this is something that really propels the sport forward.
Yeah, I was very compelled by that Zeke Mitchell story. Ezekiel Mitchell from, what did you say, Rockdale, Texas, about an hour from Austin, and the African-American guy who's just, boy, what a rock star he is, and it looks like in this series, because kind of lights up the room, really talented. You know, Vitor, Jose will get the headlines, but this guy, an emerging star in the sport of bull riding, but from right here in Central Texas.
No, for sure. And you know, the big thing about these docu-series, and, you know, and I think all this really started with Hard Knocks, right? That's when we all kind of got into these things. But it's in some of these reality series and even Drive to Survive, there's some drama that's pumped into these things to make them a little bit more exciting. But with bull riding, you don't need that, because every time one of these guys puts their hand in a bull rope, they're literally risking their lives, and they could die. So there's not much more drama than that. And then specifically, as you mentioned with Zeke, he had a tragedy in his life last year during the season, and that's captured on this series. One of the other riders, Chase Outlaw from the Oklahoma Freedom, he had a tragedy that happened in his life last year. So it's crazy, because there's only 6 or 7 riders featured, and 2 of those 7 had some pretty significant traumatic issues that happened with them. And so we really feel like between those lows and the highs from the season that it's going to hopefully capture people's attention.
How about the way the sport has grown over? I mean, just, you know, 1 year for you guys. Can you see the growth of the sport itself?
Yeah, this transition, Buck, from the PBR just operating as individual bull riders competing against each other throughout the year, to now this team series where you've got 8 different teams, 8 different markets, 8 different owners who have invested in this thing and have invested a lot of money. And so really kind of ingraining themselves and giving these markets like Austin, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Nashville, something to cheer for. So now, in addition to the PBR promoting and doing this, and the riders themselves, you've got these 8 different markets, not only the markets themselves, but the DMAs around them. So, you know, we think that this is the future of the sport, and we definitely see a lot of growth, and hopefully here in Austin as well.
JJ, can I ask you now? These guys that ride for you, do they ride in other PBR events away from, like the Gamblers? I mean, when the Vegas things happen in Vegas, do they, as individuals, are they allowed to go off and then ride themselves in those kind of events?
So yes and no. So there's kind of 2 main kind of sanctioning bodies. There's the PRCA, which most folks know, and that's all 8 disciplines of rodeo, and which finishes with the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo in Vegas. and then you've got the PBR, which is just bull riding. And so there's a couple guys that try to do both, but it's just hard. It'd be like trying to compete in the Live Golf and PGA at the same time, because you're not going to make the FedEx Cup standings if you're only participating in half the events, right? And so for a lot of these guys, there's a few that will try to do both, but mostly, like the guys that are in the PBR, they're just riding in the PBR. And then for that itself, you've got half of the year is this individual season where they compete just as individuals against each other, and then the other half is our team season.
Are they that talented? Do you have guys that talented to do all those different things, though, that they really are that talented? They've grown up doing those things?
Well, yes, but once you get to this level,
right,
and to the PBR and the level of bull athletes that we have, it's really hard to spread yourself thin. It's kind of like, there's a reason there's only one Shohei Ohtani, right?
Sure.
Beyond him, there was, Brooks Kieschnick at one point. There's not many two-way players in the NFL, right? Because once you get to this level and this caliber of competition, not only amongst other riders, but the bulls, it's really hard, man. It's really hard to do it on its own, and then to split your time doing other stuff. So there's a few guys that try it. A lot of our guys have grown up on ranches, and they know how to rope, and they know how to, do all the different things. But once you get to this level,
to
the PBR, you kind of need to focus all your attention on that.
No question. Can't wait for our audience and everybody to be able to see the series, The Ride. Can't wait to watch episode 1, because you showed us episode 3. So to go back and see 1 and 2, it premieres next Tuesday, right? May 30th is when that. And speaking of premieres, JJ, starting next Thursday, you guys, the Austin Gamblers, will present Buck Off Thursday here on B&E, which has been a fixture on our show, and you've been listening for a long, long time, JJ. Very cool. We're excited about the partnership. We're going to do a lot of fun things with it, but you guys will be the presenting sponsor of Buck Off Thursday, Buck Ons as well here on B&E, starting next Thursday. The Ride debuts next Tuesday on Prime Video. And, of course, the event at the Moody Center coming up here in August. It's going to be a great summer partnering with you guys at the Austin Gamblers.
Has there ever been a bigger layup in life than us partnering on Buck On and Buck Offs with the Austin Gamblers? I mean, listening to you guys for literally the last 20 years at multiple stations and being a part of that, and just at one moment, I don't know if I was having a Bud Light or what, I was like, why are we not partnering with these guys? And I mean, honestly, I think if you look at some of the great ad campaigns in the history of the world, from Wendy's Where's the Beef, Nike Just Do It, the Budweiser What's Up, I think this is going to go down. The Gamblers and the Horn partnering on Buck On and Buck Offs is going to be one of the greatest ad campaigns.
Listen to that guy.
We're looking forward to it. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We'll get the listener involvement both digitally and on the air, not just on Thursdays, but leading up to a Buck Off Thursday each week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. JJ, we got to get off to baseball, but thanks so much, man. Look forward to more chats and appreciate the hospitality on Tuesday night.
Thank you, JJ.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
JJ Gotch. Yeah, that show premieres on The Ride. You'll stream it on Prime Video. You're going to love this show. You don't know anything about bull riding. Much like with F1, the swing on the PGA Tour that